live right away. And we'll see if this works. All right, it says I'm live. So just check.
Some viewers waiting.
All right, we're good. We're good. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the live stream where we do it live. Hi, I'm Tony D, and that's Little Joan. Little Joan just went for a WALK, so she's a little chilly. So I got her nice and bundled up. You comfy, Joan? You ready to settle in for a couple of crazy hours of chatting? Yeah, put the tongue back in your mouth. You're embarrassing me. Anyhow, welcome. So what did I do this week? I had a busy week. It was a bit crazy. What did I do? I went to a place called Parker's Bend Retirement Community. Oh, there's Ardent here already. Ardent says, actually got the notification before you started. Well, that's crazy. That's crazy. Thank you, YouTube, for once not completely being lame. So I went to Parker's Bend Retirement Community. That's in Morristown, New Jersey. And it's in a rich area of New Jersey, right down the street from a country club that I know some of my relatives belong to. And very fancy country club, very fancy retirement community. This place looked like the inside of a cruise ship or a casino. It had a fountain in the lobby. It had its own theater and beautiful cafeteria. It looked like a restaurant. I mean, it was nice. If you're going to retire and you have the choice, I think you can do a lot worse than Parker's Bend. That looked nice. Looked really nice. JEC is here. Hi. So that was nice, and they were very nice to me. Thank you, Parker's Bend. And then yesterday I did Nerd Force Fan Fest. I got in late on that show, so I was in the spillover room, but it was okay. We got hit by a ton of rain. There was a huge rainstorm here that day in New Jersey. It literally lasted from the night before all the way through the con, and then, of course, while I was leaving, it had stopped. It had finally stopped. The students, it was right in the middle of a college campus. The students are coming out finally, and like we were all leaving. I toughed it out another 2-3 hours just to see if they would come in, but nobody else was willing. That's the way that goes. When people want to go, they want to go. A lot of the people I do shows with, they're very nice, but they're not making a living on it like I'm trying to do. That I mostly do. But it's tough, you got to make your money. Those guys, they spend all their profits on food and hanging out, and they buy other people's stuff. That's exactly what I used to do. I used to blow all my money on food. I had a regular day gig, and I'd be doing my comics, and I'd go to a show. I'd blow all my money on food, and then some. And then I'd come home, and I'd be like, oh, I made so much money. But I didn't have any money in my pocket because I'd spent it all. Ardent says, low, JEC. So this is the cover, by the way, to the Pineys, book 14. It's fantastic. I mean, Vig just really hit it out of the park again. I really enjoy the reflection of the mirror, and you can see it. It really reads well, as they say in the world of comics. Man, this was a comic book cover. You could read this from across the room. It's just the layout. I love everything about it. He does such a good job. So, bravo once again, Vig. He even did something cool with the logo because it's all like pirate stuff, so he made it kind of like an old scroll kind of, deal. It's like off-white with like stains on it. It's neat. I at first he sent me the logo and I was like, why is he making the logo so thick this time? That's weird. I didn't really get it, and then he said, oh, give it back. I forgot to put the thing on. So then he put the splotches on. And I was like, oh yeah, cool. So like the logo's supposed to be like a pirate map. Neat. And the depth, he always has the depth. You got the window, you got trees and outside the window and like a storm, and oh man. Even Joan's excited about the cover, aren't you, Joan? Yeah, it's an exciting cover. If you were a dog with money, you would buy that. Yeah. Anyhow, welcome to the live stream where we do it live. Today, we'll be checking the box office, and a very important box office for a lot of you fans out there. It's the day we see if the Ghostbusters Frozen Empire movie is going to do any good. What's the deal with the franchise? Is it going to last? I don't know. I don't know. It's rapidly approaching the point where I think I want it to end really strong, but we'll see. Oh, and one more thing before I get started. If John Adams is here, thanks once again for hamburgers. I was talking about that in another video. Okay, let's check out the numbers. So, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, this movie cost $100 million to make, according to the stats. It made $45.2 million in the United States, only $16.4 overseas, which I thought was kind of low for Ghostbusters, but perhaps it has not opened it hasn't opened in a lot of places yet. Comedies tend to do not as well. Is it going to go to... it's not going to China. I don't know why the Chinese would not like this movie. Would they not get it? Is there something the Chinese with ghosts they don't like? Yeah, I don't see China on the list, Joe. I don't see it. A lot of other countries, though, including Uruguay. Is that a big market? I'm wondering. Australia. If you remember that reference. So I don't know. In the next couple of days, we'll get some more. We'll get some more data. Joan, what the f? You want to sit over here? Okay. She'll just keep doing that. Woof, woof. Very quietly going woof, woof, woof. Right until you get what you want. Drive me nuts. So it's at 61.6 million worldwide. Ardent says Chinese are ancestor worshippers. Maybe Slimer is a cousin. That was a weird noise you made, John. Just relax. Just relax. Have a nap. JC, you're not allowed to feature ghosts in Chinese movies. You're not allowed to suggest there's an afterlife. They're commies. They're all atheists. Well, two things. First, you're using the wrong there. Second, that's not 100% true. What they have is a church that the commies control. In fact, James Lindsay was talking about this a few days ago on Twitter. So, interestingly enough, they're not atheists. They're fine with the churches as long as the churches sort of purport the communist dogma or don't contradict it. So they do have churches over there, but they're very closely monitored and sanctioned by the state. So I'm not so sure if it's the afterlife, but it might be. It might be. Ardent, LOL, that too. It may just be that Warner Brothers doesn't play ball as easily as, say, Disney. Oops. So they're... JC, yes, but you're not allowed to have ghosts in your movies. That's an actual hard rule, huh? Hadn't heard that one. Interesting. So yeah, I guess you won't see Ghostbusters in China. That shows you how successful Ghostbusters was, because that it doesn't need China. So let's make more ghost movies, everybody. More ghost movies so they don't take them to China. But at $61.6 million for the weekend on a $100 million budget, it's not doing great. Next week they should break even on the budget, but I got to think they probably spent on. JC, other movies have ran into the same problem. Huh. I have to do a little research into that. I didn't know that. So next week it probably ought to crack 100 mil, but if you use the formula, it really needs 200 million to break even. It's going to be a little tight. Ardent, need to look up the CCP rules for content so I can write something that breaks them all. There you go. Yeah, so I don't think Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is going to do too well. quite frankly, I think they had too many actors in it. I mean, they had Kumail Nanjiani and Patton Oswalt. They brought back Peck. JC, the whole Frozen World concept is weird for Ghostbusters. Feels wrong. Well, according to what I read, that was actually based off of some of the characters from the cartoon, which I appreciate them doing. I mean, the cartoon was pretty good. I enjoyed the cartoon greatly. So that was a good move on their part. If they're gonna essentially dig up the past and rewrite everything, at least take it from something that was decent, like the cartoon. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I like it. Good. But that being said, it didn't look... There's just too many people in it. Now, I like that they brought back Annie Potts and Peck. But they also got all the characters from Afterlife. They've got all the old characters they can get their hands on at this point. I don't think there's anybody left they haven't brought back that played a significant role in Ghostbusters. They, have all the characters from Afterlife. They have a bunch of new characters. I think the only guy they haven't brought back is the guy from Ghostbusters 2. I don't. Did he die at the end of 2? I don't think he did. He might have. I don't remember. It was a while ago. So, yeah, I don't know. Oh, and they didn't bring... Oh, I guess Sigourney Weaver wasn't in it. She's the only one that hasn't come back yet. JC, I had a million real Ghostbusters toys when I was a kid. It was my favorite show when I was 6. I do not remember a single episode or plot line. I remember the show. I was coming out of college when the show was in its 2nd season. And... No, I was still in college, but my friends who had graduated ahead of me, they were recruited to write the 2nd season. And they got the pitch for the 2nd seasons of the Ghostbusters TV show, and I was so jealous, and I so wanted in, and I begged them all day long, please let me help you write this. They ended up not getting anything on, but it was interesting to see the show Bible, because my understanding what had happened was they did the pilot episode, and the pilot episode's the best one, absolute best one. Search the pilot episode of the Ghostbusters cartoon. It actually has a scene from the movie in it. Arden, LOL, I remember one story about Poltergeist. So the first episode has actually the opening shot of Ghostbusters in it. I forget why. But the first pilot episode was it was a cartoon version of the movie. No, it wasn't the same plot, but the characters were spot on. The only difference being that Slimer was one of the characters, but Venkman picked on it. Like, Venkman called him all sorts of names and stuff. But then they took it to the test audience. And the test audience hated Janine. So that's Annie Potts' character, the secretary. So they softened her character. They redesigned her so she wouldn't have pointy glasses. And then they switched from an Annie Potts sound-alike to somebody with a softer voice. Then they decided that Venkman couldn't pick on Slimer because Slimer tested the highest with all the kids. So Slimer became one of the team, and there were notes in the show Bible about how you couldn't have the characters come down on Slimer too hard. That it had to be all in good fun. And which I thought, I was reading it going, they're ruining the show. But this is what they do. Like I said, if you do a test audience can save a broken movie or a broken show. Like, it can make it watchable. But if you have something good, it'll ruin it. It'll essentially bring it a step down, because it brings it right in the middle. It's mediocrity by committee every single time. So I would have looked at that pilot and would have said, oh, spot on, guys. I would have never shown it to a focus group. But now, maybe it wouldn't have done as well. You could argue, but you can't argue with these people. They think it's science. Go into a mall and this is what they used to do in the 80s, because I participated in one. They go to a mall, and they get a bunch of minimum wage teenagers, and they say, here's what you're going to do. You're going to fill out a survey, and you're going to show people a movie or a TV show, and then you're going to ask them a bunch of questions, and then fill out their answers, right? So me and my friends, Ardent, oh wait, and the one with the werewolves and vampires, JEC, I had a bunch of Slimer toys. The point of the show was to sell toys to kids. Yeah, but there were toys for the Ghostbusters, and Slimer was in it. It wasn't like he wasn't in it. But, you know, anyhow, so me and my friends are in the mall in the 80s when malls were cool, and we weren't. And, but that's where we went. Let's go to the mall. Okay. So we're in the mall, and a bunch of hot girls come up to us, and they are working for the survey company. I forget what mall it was. I want to say Cherry Hill. Yeah, I think it was Cherry Hill Mall. And that's still around. So they said, would you like to see a preview of Howard the Duck? Now, me being a movie nut, I already knew about Howard the Duck. I'm like, oh yeah, we got to see Howard the Duck. And we also wanted to talk to these girls. So we're like, yeah. So we get into the room, and they're going to show us it, and they're filling out the paperwork. And the first thing the girl says to us, is it okay if we say you're between 40 and 49? And we're like, why? Like, well, we didn't survey enough people in that age range. And we're like, yeah, sure. What do we care? You're hot. Do whatever you want to us. So we were just, watching this stuff, trying to figure out how we could get with these girls. But I was like, admittedly, really interested in the Howard the Duck movie. So then they show us the trailer. And the trailer's kind of awful because they used a new technology that was relatively new then. I forget. I guess you would call it CGI, but it was some prototype of CGI to make Howard the Duck. So I guess it was a guy in a suit, but then not. Maybe the CGI was his face or whatever. I mean, it looked fine, but you couldn't really see it in the trailer. Like, they were hiding it in the trailer. Ardent. You're hot, do whatever. Oh, famous last words. Yeah, exactly. So, the trailer, kind of doesn't show Howard, if I'm remembering correctly, or at least the one I saw in the mall. And so that was my first, I was kind of annoyed. I'm like, well, where's Howard? I want to see Howard. I want to see Howard. My friends are like, shut up about the duck, man. These girls are hot. And I'm like, yeah, but we're not seeing Howard. It doesn't make any sense. And so the girls took our information, and then she, they would basically altered the survey so we would fit in the category that they needed to fill in, because they didn't care. What did they care? They were young and hot. They were being paid minimum wage. You think they gave a rat's A about having accurate information for the studio? No one was there supervising them. They were only a few years older than us. They did not care. So they put in a bunch of information and I lied about some of my information because back then I was a little paranoid about anybody taking my information. So I just made up a bunch of stuff of myself just because I would do that all the time to make my friends laugh. And so I don't even think I gave them a real name. I don't know if they took names, but I definitely gave them like a fake town that I lived in. And, so the information, from a certain standpoint, was completely wrong. And they had the biggest part, though, was they had the wrong age. So what did that information do for them? Nothing. They were going after the 18 to 35 demo anyway. So the moment they put us in as 40 to 49, that information, they probably didn't even look at our information. And we were probably the core audience. We were probably too young. We were probably like 16. We were probably too young for that demo, for the demo they wanted. JC, wasn't it a robotic Jim Henson mask? I don't know. They touted some new technology. It looked fine. I mean, for Howard the Duck, it didn't look like the comic. His eyes were a little too small. I would have made his eyes bigger, but... Ardent, was this pre or post Jedi? I think the tech was similar to Java. I don't know. Let's look it up. would have been like the year, maybe right before Howard the Duck came out. 1986. So this probably was like 85. So this is like me. No, I was in college by this point. So I was 19. Like 18 or 19. So Howard the Duck, 1986. Jeffrey Jones was in this thing. Ardent, 86 was Jedi. JC, I think Jim Henson did Howard the Duck. Now let's see. Is it going to be in here? There we go. Oh, my mouse still doesn't work very well these days. Jeffrey Jones was definitely in this, so you ain't gonna see him anymore. Terrible. Makeup, production management. Ardent, wait, no, Jedi was 83, wasn't it? JC, Jedi was like 83, 82. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, 83. It was 83, I think. Ardent, need a trackball mouse. I just need a new mouse. This one's beat. Art department. Sound department. Oh my god, look at the sound. Special effects. Yeah. Visual effects. A lot of visual guys on this. ILM. Yeah, so it was ILM, it looks like. JC, Star Wars was 77, Empire was 80. Yup, about every 3 years. So ILM did the effects on this. So that was Lucas. Industrial Light and Magic, right? Ardent, extra points for JEC. He's on it. He is on it. But Jeffrey Jones did have the funniest line. It's not a great movie, but Jeffrey Jones does have the funniest line in the movie. I'll say that. They bring out... Jeffrey Jones is possessed by some demonic entity that's the bad guy in the movie. And then he becomes the bad guy. He was a scientist, but he gets possessed. Ardent, Henson did Yoda for Empire. That much is true. Because it was Frank Oz doing the voice, and he was in that crew. So they're in a diner somewhere, and Jeffrey Jones is at the next table from Howard and Leah Thompson, who plays the Beverly character. And he's trying to keep a low profile, I think, because he's following them. Or he's... I don't know. I think they're talking to him eventually, and then... You know, the waitress comes out and brings them a bunch of food, but she's having some kind of issue on her own. And then at some point, the waitress takes away all the food, including Jeffrey Jones's food. And he just has this really funny take where he goes, "She took my eggs." Like, he planned on eating the eggs, but the waitress took them before he had a chance, even though he's possessed by some demon. I don't know. You had to see it. It was a movie that didn't have a lot of funny lines, but that was one of them. Oh, you know who's in it too? Is Tim Robbins is in it. Tim Robbins as like the young guy. Yeah, there he is. He's the young guy who's really into the Leah Thompson character, Beverly. And Beverly in the comic was like the smoking hot chick that Steve Gerber would draw. I think Gerber also drew it too. And that was Howard's girlfriend, essentially, because Howard was such a Chad. And Ed Gale was the voice of Howard, huh? Or no, Chip Zen. Ed Gale, I guess, was in the suit. And then Chip Zien was the voice of Howard. Oh my God, look at how many Howard the Ducks there are in this. Look at all the credits. These guys must have been all little guys. Huh. Working the suit, I guess. Gerber didn't draw, says JEC. Oh, he didn't. Oh, okay. So I guess it was somebody else. But they used to draw they used to draw Beverly Like, you know how the image guys always draw like a monster and then like a hot chick? That was the pattern, sort of, that developed on Howard the Duck. It was like Howard and then super hot chick, you know. But yeah, this movie bombed hard. Let's take a look at the numbers on it. That could be interesting. We're off on a tangent here, but Howard the Duck. Place your bets. What do you think the box office is on this? I'm going to say 20 mil. Not even. Wow, 16.2. But it must have cost more. Let's see. Yeah, it cost 30 million. That's a lot back then. 30 million was a decent chunk of change in 85 for a movie. This is like 40 years ago. 40 years ago, in 1985 dollars, that was a pretty decent sized movie. It wasn't the biggest. Ardent, LOL, speaking of image guys drawing hot chicks, at least we know Todd McFarlane doesn't have a foot fetish. Todd McFarlane doesn't have a foot fetish. Why do we know that? Because he doesn't draw feet? But yeah, that's terrible. God, the Blu-ray sales are nothing. Although that had to be much later, Blu-ray sales. This would have been on videotape if it was on anything. Oh yeah, estimated domestic video sales, 500,000. Oh, I guess that's both of them together. So I don't know why you would waste the technology to put this on Blu-ray. And this movie they pimped the hell out of. So I would believe 100% they spent, if the movie cost 30 million, they spent $30 million promoting it, but they didn't have an international box office, so maybe not. Ardent, he can't draw feet worth A. S. JC, I think you meant Rob Liefeld. Liefeld never drew feet. Ardent, Liefeld, damn it. Ah. Yeah, Liefeld's terrible at drawing hands and feet. I mean, he's just not great. Let me just state again that Rob Liefeld was one of the nicest guys I ever met in comics. He's really nice. He's just a very personable guy, very down to earth. I like him a lot as a person. I don't really like his comics. I feel bad, like I want to like his comics, but there's very few I like. And, it's just, I don't like his art, really. I can kind of tolerate it, but the rumor was, back in the day, the reason Liefeld was so successful is Liefeld never missed a deadline. But a lot of us as comic fans would go, well, yeah. Because to me, it all looks so sloppy and half-assed. And I say that as a guy who's not hardcore art guy, right? I mean, I didn't like his art. Like, I had a pretty low bar for art. Like, if the thing looked like the thing, I was okay with it. But Liefeld, no. Characters were always posed weird, and I'll never forget when he drew a payphone and he left out an entire row of numbers. It's like, dude, just look at a payphone. But again, one of the nicest guys in comics I ever met. He was so accommodating, so willing to do an interview, and he's just friendly. Todd was nice too, but he's a little more intense. He's a little more busy. He's got a million things going on at once. He's one of those guys that starts 3 sentences and then finishes 4 others, and you're like, what the hell did he just say? Like, he's blah, blah, blah. I like his energy. His comics are better. He's got good ideas. He's just terrible. He couldn't script, in my view, to save his life. Like, his scripts kind of suck. But his ideas aren't bad. Like, all the ideas in Spawn are there. It just doesn't really do it for me. He needs a scriptwriter. JC, Todd would draw feet. He had Spider-Man's feet right in your face. That's true. Ardent, I'm tired. I swear that's what's going on. JC, a little Rob goes a long way. It'd be fun to get a variant cover by him. Yeah, yeah. He's got a distinctive style. I'll admit that. JC, Todd's a bigger carny. True, true. And I kind of admire his carniness. He's always hustling, or at least back in the day he was. I don't know about now. Maybe he's more relaxed now. But yeah, Howard the Duck did not do well. Did not do well. It was considered a huge flop. I remember them talking about, oh, this movie, it could break. I don't know who put this out. Lucasfilms, I guess. Might have been Lucas. They were worried about it destroying Leah Thompson's career, and it kind of did. But, like, her career was okay-ish. Never... I mean, she had a couple of big hits, so she was sort of insulated from it a bit. But Tim Robbins, I think, suffered a little bit from it. But then he kind of got out of less. You know, he was out of the mainstream, more into other sorts of movies, and then he was fine. But Leah Thompson was a smoke show back then. So. The weird thing was in that movie, they made Beverly the lead singer of a rock band, and I don't think she was in the comic. Ardent, 2 ads so far. Hope you're seeing some of that YouTube money. Really? I put it on the lowest possible setting. Jesus. I am seeing a little bit of it, but I swear, I put it on the lowest commercial setting. Now, when you go to the commercial, and then it cuts back to me, is it like where you left off, or does it cut in like you missed 30 seconds? Storebang is here. Then she starred in that series Caroline in the City. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. She probably made good money on that one. Oh yeah. Yeah, that thing was syndicated, I think. I think that went a few seasons. Enough to syndicate it. Yeah. Yeah, but like in '85, man, Leah Thompson. Wow. So, number 2, coming in at 2. So, Ghostbusters is at 45.2. Dune Part 2 is at 17.6 in its 4th week. That's not too bad for its 4th week. Not too shabby. 574 million worldwide. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. Ardent, not a complaint. I'm watching on my TV, chatting on my mobile. IRC, the ad just cuts you off and you come back where you left off. No ads on TV. Huh. Weird. Sorry about that. I'll have to see if I can figure out I don't know. I would go basically commercial free if I could, but they used to put the ads on the bottom of the screen, right? JC, that was a sitcom about the comic strip artist whose art is worth than the woman who does Kathy. Oh, is worse than the woman that does Kathy. Yeah, kinda. I didn't really watch the show. I would watch other shows, but I would always see it advertised. I probably watched something that was like right before or right after it. Back when I watched TV like all the time. 85, man. The TV was the internet. That was the closest thing we had to internet. That felt live, but it was all fake, you know. Wasn't a damn real thing on TV, but you kind of, that was it, man. It's hard to understand if you didn't live in that era. It really is, I think. Number 3, Kung Fu Panda, dropping from number 1. Ardent, Night Court was amazing. I used to watch Night Court. Yeah, that might have been the show that was buffeted next to it. Were they on the same channel? I think so. So Kung Fu Panda in its 3rd week, dropping from 1 to 3. Interesting. Well, it's not. It's right behind Dune Part 2. 16.8 mil. This movie, not doing as well. It is the fourth installment. It's at 268, and the budget was 85, so they're good. They're good for it. Wow, they actually got a cartoon under 100 million. That's pretty good. Usually the cartoons cost a ton of money. So I wonder how they saved on that. That's not bad. Not bad at all. So you got 1, 2, 3. I don't know. The first one's going to be close, but it should not lose money. But definitely the other two are making money. So maybe things are bouncing back finally. Now, number 4, you got Immaculate, premiering at 4, 5.3 million. Well, Ghostbusters was a premiere too. Now, I'm hearing good things about this movie. Let's see what it cost. Does not say. It probably is not super expensive because it is a horror movie. So, this should get some movement in the overseas market. Let's see. Well, it didn't. It's got to open in overseas, right? Yeah. So, it should do some business overseas. Where's the numbers for the international? It's the 24th. You don't have any numbers for us? Jesus. JC, probably reused shots and backgrounds from the previous three movies. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's all on computer now, so that would be easy. I don't know. Would it save that much? I guess it would. Yeah, and what they can do with Photoshop and or whatever programs they're using, I'm sure they could take a village scene, make it look like a different village. That shouldn't be too hard. Maybe just change the lighting up. Plus, they do have a lot of the designs. The other thing too is if they can take the Kung Fu Panda and the various characters and move them around, like they're already rendered, and then sequences can be done in a few days just by taking the rendered 3D assets and moving them around. You could probably cut a lot of time off of the production. So, by the way, if anybody saw any of these movies, let me know. Let me know what you thought. JC, reuse the animation of the panda fighting, changing the lighting and the angle. It's a brand new shot. Exactly. Billy Tucci was the first guy. He does She, the comic book, and he was the first guy to talk about that kind of use of computers, I remember, way back in the day. That was early 90s, I guess. He was talking about doing that just in Photoshop to make the She character move around. Not that he was doing animation, but that he would take snapshots for the panels of the comic that way was the idea. So, yeah, that technology is definitely there. Number 5, dropping from 3, Arthur the King. This movie's getting okay reviews. It's a family film. It's at 14.6. I'm not sure. It probably costs more than that, though. So I'm not sure. Premiering at 6, Late Night with the Devil. Now, a lot of people are talking about this movie. I'm kind of excited for it. I have to be honest, I'm almost excited for this as I am to see eventually Ghostbusters. But this I've kind of leaned towards a little more. It's got a real 70s vibe to it. 2.8 million. International is $1,700. What did it open in 2 theaters overseas? What the hell? Do we have a budget on this thing? No. No, it hasn't really opened yet. Wow. This is really far out. It's opened in the UK and in New Zealand. It opened in New Zealand last summer. That's weird. And it did no business. I guess that was some sort of test premiere. Down in New Zealand? That is weird. 8/17/2023. They opened it in two theaters in New Zealand, I guess to test it out. That seems like a low amount of money even for just two theaters though. $1,700? $1,789. What's that break down to? Maybe 127 people? That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. It only had 2 theatrical engagements, so I'm assuming it was only played for one time on 2 different screens and about 63 people in each theater. That doesn't seem like a lot. Had to be a test audience, maybe they're adding that in? But why all the way in New Zealand? Maybe that's where they made it. But anyhow, this movie does look interesting. So, it's like a TV show that went off the rails back in the 70s and they've never shown it. Like, that's sort of the premise. And that, you know, the devil possessed someone on the show and then, I don't know, killed everybody in the studio or something. So, I kind of want to see it. I definitely will catch it on streaming. And people are saying it looks kind of cool. I think one person did say it was good. Art, it might be a tax thing in New Zealand. Maybe they have to show it within their major market to get funding, assuming it's a New Zealand production. Maybe. It seems so long ago, though. I mean, that was last August, and now it's just coming out. I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 months ago. It's not slated for very many theaters. Now I wonder why China wouldn't show this movie. Interesting. No ghost, although maybe that counts. So, but interesting. An interesting concept anyway. It looks good. It looks very 70s. It's from IFC Films. So maybe they just scooped up some producer who put together some wacky film. I don't know if it's going to do much more business than that. And I got to think it costs more than $3 million to make. But the lead guy I recognize. He's been in a few things. He's a character actor. So, yeah, maybe. You know what it'll be? It'll probably be on the IFC channel. And then maybe it'll hit like Amazon streaming or something. Number 7, dropping from 4, Imaginary, 2.8 million. This is another horror movie. It's in its 3rd week. And 28 million worldwide. I don't like these movies where they take toys and make them evil. Ardent, sounds like an interesting premise regarding Late Night with the Devil. JC, if Satan is in it, it's a no-go in China. They don't want any media featuring the afterlife or magic. So magic too? I really got to do some research on this. I had no idea it was so stringent, but it kind of makes a certain amount of sense. I'm trying to remember, did they show Doctor Strange in China? Because there's magic in that. Let's see. Nope. Hold on. That's not what it's called. What was it called? Oh, I gotta spell out doctor. All right, here we go. Yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. International. Nope. No China. Huh. So no Doctor Strange for China. JC, their comments, they don't want people believing in the afterlife. Ardent, That's a real shame given how magic heavy a lot of Chinese folktales and legends are. JC, they're commies. They're communists. Yes, they are. That's terrible. Yeah, that might have something to do with it, Arden. So maybe they ban the magic because they don't want people going back into their old traditions, because they're very anti. If you follow James Lindsay, he talks about how the Maoists were about destroying the four olds and basically destroying the traditions of the past to make way for the glorious communist future. And so destroying their own past was a thing. Huh. That makes sense. Sadly, it makes too much sense. May you go down in flames, communist. I'll just say that right out. Go down in flames. Number 8, dropping from 6 in its 3rd week. It's already been 3 weeks. Love Lies Bleeding. Maybe the first week they didn't have it in many theaters. And it's actually being put in more theaters somehow. Man, they want this movie to succeed. This is the lesbian love story starring Kristen Stewart. Ardent, I am sick of seeing trailers for Cabrini. Really? I haven't seen... On TV or what? Is that on TV or on YouTube? I did see a couple on YouTube, but not too many. The commercials I keep seeing on YouTube and Bitchute are for drones and that flashlight that acts like it can burn stuff. I mean, it looks cool, but I'm sick of seeing the commercial. Yeah, Love Lies Bleeding. There's no way this thing is money at 5.6 million or 5.8. No way. Kristen Stewart, Ed Harris. It's also a period piece. It's also got, it's crime. It's got some stunts in it. Nah. I want this movie to tank. I want this movie to tank hard. I want Kristen Stewart coming out, doing the usual, everybody's a misogynist shuffle. Let it tank hard. Let the studio think twice before hiring Kristen Stewart again and her wacky. Oh, we thought it would do so good taking a beautiful woman and putting her in men's underwear and having her, uglying her up as hard as possible and making her a butch lesbian. No thanks. Not even the butch lesbians want that look. They don't. I would say they appreciate beautiful women just like I do. So, Ardent, YouTube for the Cabrini thing. Yeah, I could see that. Ardent, I watched a couple of vids by Brandon Herrera and saw almost a dozen trailers for Cabrini. Weird. I bet, is he like a religious guy? I mean, is there any tie-in, you think, with his videos and Cabrini? Maybe that's why. Maybe he got targeted that way because he talks about God or something. Just a thought. But yeah, I don't want to see this movie do well. I want to see it totally crash out to shut Kristen Stewart up. I get it. Okay, you wanted to make this movie. Fine. Just make it. There's no reason to insult people when you promote the movie. Like, and again, studio, you should be in there saying, don't ugly up the lead. Make her look nice. Make her look good. She doesn't have to look current good, right? I mean, I get it. The thing took place in the 80s. But she could still look hot. All the girls look hot in the 80s. They had big hair. I didn't like the big hair. But, like Heather Locklear pulled it off. She should have looked like Heather Locklear. Yeah, that would have been a good movie. Yeah, so next up is Cabrini, dropping from 5. A lot of people are raving about the movie. I don't know. 16.4. That doesn't sound like money either. Nah. JC, beautiful woman. She was always mid. That's why they cast her as Bella. They didn't want someone too pretty. They wanted girls to project themselves onto her. She's 30 something now, has hit the wall. Well, let's take a look at Kristen Stewart when she's good looking. I don't know. I'm 58, so 30 looks pretty good to me, but let's see. I mean, she's got a nice body. If they put her in the right makeup and then the right outfits, like this, no thanks. But that's pretty hot. Showing a side boob, that's hot. I don't know what years these are from. Kristen Stewart, 39 hottest. No, that's not her age. Yeah, I don't like the short hair. But, and some of these are clearly earlier, but let's see. Let's try this. Kristen Stewart, 2024. Now, hopefully we don't get all stupid pictures. That's kind of hot. Ardent. Stripperella was best big hair in recent memory. Maybe Adele. Storebang. Emma Watson? Emma Watson's pretty hot still. She's just annoying. JC. She's maybe a year or two younger than me. She's always been mid to me. Wouldn't even approach her in real life with her resting bee face. I don't know. She looks fine. To me, well, I don't like her hair in that shot, but she's a little too skinny, granted. JEC, she's built like a 14-year-old boy. I like chicks with hips and tatas. Yeah, no, I could say, I could see that criticism, absolutely. But I mean, she doesn't look bad, But she looks better here than she looks in the movie. In the movie, she looks awful. She just looks like god awful. I'm sure there's a movie shot in here somewhere for this thing. Here she is at the premiere. She looks, look at how she looks at the premiere. I mean, I think she looks good there. It's a wacky outfit. She's showing as much skin as possible. Then you look at her in the movie. Yeah, in the movie, she's got this ridiculous haircut. I mean, she looks terrible. Like, who wants to see this? Like this. This is a bad haircut there. Ardent. Best I can say about her, she's not fugly. JC. She is ugly? Not really. Is she leading lady good looking? Heck no. And she doesn't have the screen presence or acting skills to make up for her mid appearance. I don't know. I'm trying to think what she was good in. She was good in the Joan Jett movie. I liked her in that. I thought she was good in that. In this, she didn't look good. She looked weak in it. Definitely don't like her. Oh, no. But, like, I mean, she's definitely being dressed down in this, I say. The girl on the left, she does not look good in my view. JC, she's never been good. I don't know, did you see her in the Runaways movie? I thought she was good in that, but I think some actors and actresses, they're only as good as their directors and their scripts. Woman on the left looks like AI. Like in Charlie's Angels, she didn't look bad. Let me see. Charlie's Angels. Angels. Kristen Stewart. Let's see. Not there. There's a couple hot. There was like one or two hot scenes with her. Yeah, I don't like the haircut though. Oh, that was her hair in the movie, wasn't it? I mean, that's her butt. That's not a bad butt, I would say. JC, no, in Charlie's Angels, she looked like a total Dutch damp. Yeah, I'm not liking the hair on her. But she's got the body that she could sport a bikini, or she's young. I think they could have done better. Ardent butt double, possibly. That's very true. JC, she's flat as a board. The middle one is stunt butt. That's very possible. That's good stunt butt, if true. You know what? You may be onto something there, because those two butts don't look the same. Yeah. This, in fact, may be the comparison, because that is a great butt there in the middle. The one on the right is looking a little flat. It's looking like the new Rogue X-Men butt. Here's the original X-Men 97 Rogue butt, and then the 2024 X-Men 97 butt. Ardent, LOL, stunt arse. All right, enough about her stupid butt. Who cares? Cabrini. So 16.4 million. Don't get to see much butt in this movie, but I hear it's decent. Wholesome. JC, the butt on the right is hiding with the angle and the phone in the pocket. Yeah, I agree. I still would bang Kristen Stewart. I'm just going to say. But I have a low bar. Number 10, Bob Marley, One Love. 1.1 million. Going out of theaters in its 6th week. Did 173 mil? Is this money? Might be. I don't know. Tough to say. It's definitely going to sell some music, so I think it'll make money. Ardent, Stormy says your standards are too low. They are. I'm working on that, Stormy. Thank you. JC, I wouldn't bang her. Her personality isn't worth dealing with. Yeah, personality. Yeah. Anyhow, number 11, One Life. Oh, this is Anthony Hopkins. In its 2nd week, dropped only 41%. It's probably a good sign. It's halfway decent. They put it in more theaters, about $1 million. But it's only done 3.4 million here, 24 million overseas, so 28 million, 28.2. I don't know. This is partly a period piece. I don't know what the budget on this thing could be. It could kind of be anything. Also, rolling back to Arthur the King. Arthur the King was in its 2nd week, and it only dropped to 43%. So that's a good indication it has legs as well. Number 12 is Luca. Luca? Opened? What is this? This movie just opened? Wasn't this movie out already? I remember this movie. I remember them talking about it. This had to have been out already. It must have just opened here. This must have been a pandemic movie. Yeah. Okay. So it did almost 50 million overseas. It's about 50 million. Did about 6 million on the home market. So this movie got crushed, I think, by the the pandemic, if I'm not mistaken. This is about like mermaid boys or something. Oh, right. It says 2021, but this is, I guess, the first theatrical release. Yeah, it's a Disney. Yeah, okay. So this was one of the pandemic movies they jammed up, and now they're trying Disney in its desperation now, I guess. Oh, we didn't release that movie in theaters. Go try to make some money with this damn thing, will you? Try to make some money. We're bleeding money, damn it. Can you imagine Bob Iger? There's actually a fight to keep Bob Iger. This is the same stupid fight it was to keep Gavin Newsom. Like, you got a guy who's, in my view, driving the studio into the dirt, drove it into a ditch, then ripped the engine out and kicked the side of the car and left it there, set it on fire and walked away, and then came back to it. You want to give this guy... Ardent, smell the desperation. I think you... what it, automatic spelling made it say disniparation. But yeah, smell the desperation. Exactly. That's what it... That's funny. But the fact that they're even arguing over whether or not they should keep Bob Iger, it's ridiculous. These woke people are going to destroy the company. God, the Chinese must be laughing their asses off. The Chinese communists must look at these stories every day and laugh and laugh and laugh that everything they do works this well. They must be sitting back going, these people have no will of their own. We could literally make them do anything. They must be taking side bets on what they can get us to do and accept. I look forward to the moment where finally the sheep wake up and go, hey, I think I'm pretty mad at the communists. I hope that happens soon, because things aren't going well, especially in movies. But yeah, I don't even know why you bothered with Luca, quite frankly. Looked terrible. Exuma, this was a, I believe a South Korean, I think it's a zombie movie? Or a zombie adjacent movie, I'm not sure. Did 67 million, probably mostly in Korea. Did only 500,000 here. I don't think it's, I think it's subtitled. So, probably going to be an uphill battle. But maybe on the streaming. I'll let Joan roam. Too hot. Oh, too hot. But it looks good. But I'm very partial to zombie movies, as you all know. This movie, Problemista, this did not look good at all. This was some kind of Oscar bait that didn't seem to have any steam whatsoever. 1.2 million. Tilda Swinton's in it. So I guess if you're a fan of her, it's kind of like he's her gay assistant and she's like an out of control, I don't know, executive or art gallery person or something. Didn't look good to me at all. And number 15, and I'm going to say it, and again, YouTube, this is the title of the movie, The American Society of Magical Negroes, which is now in its second week, and it dropped 66%. That's 2/3, ladies and gentlemen. 2/3. And it's in 6 more theaters for some reason. For some insane reason. 2.2 million. The rumor is the budget is something like 50 million. Did I look it up last week? I think I tried to. I don't know if I found it. I mean, it could be 50 million. Oh, apparently Ardent hasn't heard of it. Ardent Magical what? LOL. Yep. I don't want to keep saying it because it's kind of like again, it's a movie that never should have been greenlit. Like, If you saw this movie pitched in a comedy movie about Hollywood, you'd laugh, right? You'd be like, oh my God, can you imagine them making that movie? And then if you were an actual movie executive and they came to you with this idea, you'd laugh in their face and go, what? No, no, pitch me the real movie now. What's the real movie you have to pitch? No, no, it's a real movie. What? Get out of my office. I mean, these people are nuts that they thought this, and they're defending it, right? They actually tried. Justice Smith, the lead, is out there trying to defend the movie. Now, to some extent, he's contractually obligated. He's trying to be a team player, I guess. But David Alan Grier, he should know better. Like Justice Smith, at least you could say, well, he's a young guy. He's got no pull in Hollywood. I mean, David Alan Grier, how much pull could he have? But still, he could have said no. He could have said, what? Ardent, yeah, it feels like a fake Taryn Taylor trailer bit. Yeah. Yeah, this was a Key and Peele sketch. And don't get me wrong, this could have been, if like you gave it to Key and Peele or Dave Chappelle, this could have been the funniest movie ever. It could have been off-the-wall, crazy comedy about race that skewers everybody. But it's not. It's like semi-serious with some elements of humor that they just flatline. Man, they're just flatline. Every scene that I couldn't even tell you which scenes are supposed to be funny. That's how bad it is to me. And I didn't see the movie. I saw the trailer. It's bad. And then it turns into a rom-com towards the end, apparently. It's like, and it's bad. Big lecture at the end, I'm told. So, good that this movie failed. There's no way this is money at $2.2 million. And next week it'll be done. I mean, if it dropped 66% this week, and it's at $440,000, it's likely it'll drop that much next week. At least, it'll be lucky to crack $200,000 next week. And after that, why even keep it in the theaters? And then, third week you might get $100,000, maybe. Fourth week you're down to like less than 50, probably. At that point, you just might as well pull this from theaters. It's an embarrassment. It's an absolute embarrassment that they tried to push this movie. Focus Features ought to be ashamed of itself for ever greenlighting it, for wasting even 10 cents on this. Kind of similar, but not as blatant, was the Book of Clarence. That went in and out of the theaters. I don't even know what happened to that. Let's see what the final numbers were on that. Book of Clarence. I mean, this went right out. 6.1 million. Well, that's a little better. But how many of these do you think you can make before a lot of people just see Hollywood as being totally racist? Like, a lot of this woke nonsense started because it was like Hollywood was saying, oh, everybody's so racist. We got to do something about this. And of course, everything they do just divides people more and ends up being more racist than the stuff they had. Like, I remember White Man Can't Jump. That was a decent movie, the first one. I didn't see the remake. But it's a fun movie. It's just about two guys. One's white, one's black, and they're just scamming guys on the basketball court. Perfectly fine movie. Nobody watched that and said, oh, race. Like, everything they do in an attempt to supposedly address the race issue just seems to make it even worse. It's always just like, oh, you know what? Reparations, and you people are even more racist than ever. Like, this was not the case in 2000 at all. I remember 2000. I was in my 40s, 30s and 40s in the 2000s. Like, it was pretty much the least racist time in America, I would say. Ardent, I want a movie called The Antisocial Collective of Japanese Crackers. Okay, are you just getting me to say stuff on YouTube now? Um, but this kind of movie, it just kind of pisses people off. Thankfully, though, it won't do enough business to really have an impact, I think. You know, the movies that had impact in terms of race would be like Boys in the Hood. Like that had a little media attention on it, and there were talk. I remember articles about, oh, people are shooting each other in the theater. But even that I didn't really believe. But I mean, I'm sure one incident happened, but it wasn't the movie's fault. Ardent, LOL, no. But now that you've given me the idea, I might. Oh no, what have I done? So yeah, Hollywood, you're just making it worse. It's kind of like what the government does, right? The government says, "Oh, we'll fix the problem," and then they just make it 1,000 times worse. Like right now, they just passed a law. They're going to have a task force to enforce red flag laws, which is just an excuse to confiscate guns from people they don't like or they deem unfit to have guns, or a danger to the community or whatever. They've already done it on a local level, a bunch of places in New Jersey. I'm aware of a police officer who not only has had his guns confiscated because he was in a nasty divorce with his wife, but his father's guns were confiscated because he had lived in the house with them. And, like, his father was furious, understandably so. It's like, this is my house. Like, you confiscated my my son's guns. I don't agree with that. Now you're going to confiscate my guns? It's insane. He eventually got them back, but this will lead people. You know what it's going to lead people to do. It's going to lead people to hide guns or get ghost guns or, lose their guns in a boating accident, as they say. Ardent. Oh no, red flag laws. Those are some garbage. Yeah, it's really bad. It's added to the list of things Trump has to do when he gets back in office. Like, immediately close the task force and get rid of those people. Legally, out of office, YouTube, relax. Number 16, Ordinary Angels. This is a wholesome film from Lionsgate. But it's in its 5th week. Alan Ritchson's in it. 18 million. Hilary Swank. Feels like a Hallmark movie. It's not awful, but I don't know. I don't know what they expected the movie to do. 15 or what is it? No, sorry, 18 million. It's not going to do much. I mean, here's another movie you should probably play overseas. 17, The Boy and the Heron, did pretty well, I think. I think it did, yeah. Well, 162 million for an animated. It's hard to say, but it's overseas. I believe it's a Japanese flick. I'm kind of looking forward to seeing this. I forget I think it's on Netflix or HBO Max. I forget, but I'm kind of looking forward to seeing it because I hear good things. I mean, Del Toro likes it, the director. So I'm not 100% on board with everything Del Toro ever did, but certainly a lot of his stuff is good. What is the thing that he did that I hated? Oh, The Strain. I didn't like The Strain. Yeah, it was an interesting attempt at a different vampire thing, but uh-oh. Your message got redacted, Ardent. I saw a glimpse of it. You were talking about Canada. JC, one best animated feature. I want to see. I love that director. Yeah, so. Yeah, it sounds like it's worth seeing. The other cartoon, Migration, dropped all the way from 12 to, looks like 18. $210,000. So this is finally going away. Wow, it did 14 weeks, though. It's a pretty good run. This looked okay. I mean, it probably watchable. Ardent, I did that. Wasn't a great joke. Oh, okay. Number 19, YOLO. 114,000. It's in its third week. What the hell was this? Oh, right, the samurai movie. It's some kind of samurai movie. Did amazing overseas, 480 million. So, don't know why they call it YOLO though. Perfect Days. That's the gay love story. Whatever. 20 weeks in the theaters. Probably all art house. Hasn't done much for being in the theaters. 20 weeks. 13 million. Madam Web. What's that, number 20? It's in its sixth week. Just stop wasting the theater space at this point. $96,600. Nope, that was the movie above it. $83,000. Sony, they're still making fun of this movie. Sydney Sweeney now was doing an interview. Ardent, I did that. Oh, no, I read that one. So Sydney Sweeney was doing some interview somewhere, and somebody shouted out, it wasn't that bad, referring to Madam Web, and she didn't seem to agree. 97.6, almost 7 million. Yeah, that's not money, right? I think we already determined that. Yeah, 80 million. It made its production budget back, but probably not the rest. Unfortunately, if Ghostbusters doesn't have legs, it could end up in a similar spot, unfortunately. But I think Ghostbusters will do better. I think Ghostbusters will have legs. Madam Web has no legs. Madam Web, the paraplegic of movies. There's a review for you. Madam Web is the paraplegic of movies. Zone of Interest. This movie isn't gonna do well now because Jonathan Glazer should keep his friggin' political opinions to himself. He is getting blasted. I don't know if you're following that. 21 million. He should not speak on things. If you want to work in Hollywood, yeah, you shouldn't speak that strongly on political opinions like that. And again, like, the Gaza war isn't good, but my God, dude. I think he went a little too far. These people are so full of themselves, though. They think they're invincible until they realize, oh no, I'm not invincible. Oh no, all my offers are drying up. Oh no, I have such a high overhead, I've been renting a mansion. A lot of people do that out in Hollywood. They don't own those mansions. A lot of them are just renting it. Or they're leasing it, or they got some sort of crazy deal where they got a mortgage, but it's not a mortgage, and then they're going to sell the house, but they haven't even paid it off. Ardent, not on any non-left opinion anyway. Yes. Demon Slayer. What are you doing back there, Joan? Joan, are you okay? What are you eating? Joan, what are you eating? Hold on a sec. What do you got? Is that apple? Let me see that. No, that's not for you, Joan. No, give me that. One sec. Come here. Let me see this. Cucumber. Hold on, Joan. Can dogs eat cucumber? Hold on. Can dogs eat cucumber? Do. Perfectly safe for dogs to eat. Okay. Here you go, John. I broke it in half. You can chew that all you want. Sorry. Oy. Probably be fine. Yes. It says JC. JC, I think people are done with Ghostbusters. Too many bad reboots. Too far removed from the original good movie. Kids today don't know the good Ghostbusters. I agree. Yeah, it's a shame. I also think Bill Murray looks a little tired in this one. You know, Dan Aykroyd's kind of holding up pretty good. You know, he's like in his 70s. He doesn't look it. Bill Murray doesn't really. I mean, he kind of looks like he's that age, but I've seen him. He looked more spry in the premiere than he did in the movie. Like, the scenes in the movie, he looks tired, like he doesn't want to be there. And you know, Ernie Hudson looks fine. Ardent Cucumber probably won't hurt, but surprised she'd bother with it. Ardent Vegan Dog. Joan, I will tell you, loves fruits and vegetables. So, she loves strawberries, blueberries, apple. We usually have apple every day. And these are all perfectly fine for your dog. The things that aren't fine for your dog are like, you definitely don't want to feed them grapes. Grapes are big no-no. Stay away from the nightshade. That's onions and garlic and things like that. What's the other thing? Tomatoes aren't great for them. They can eat them, but they can't. The acid is not great for them. Ardent Bill Murray looks like he lived Bill Murray's life. That's Ardent, yes. Yeah, he looks a little... looks like he's ready for retirement. I love Bill Murray, don't get me wrong. But yeah. JC, the original cast are dying out. Bill Murray's heart isn't into it anymore. No point to even trying to do more Ghostbusters. Well, I think if he had the right script, they'd be fine. But they're not willing to do the right script. I'll tell you the right script for Ghostbusters. The right script is, they're still the Ghostbusters. And if you're going to add younger players underneath them, they have to be direct descendants of all of them, right? And they all have to be like comedians or comedic actors. So, Ardent, same. I'd love to see Murray make a new Caddyshack. Yeah, like if you were going to do it, I would like cast some of the hottest new comedians in the roles of Ghostbusters. But, you know, I'm hearing rumors that there's a lesbian love story in the middle of Ghostbusters. I have zero interest in that. That would totally piss me off if that's in there. You know, the girl who's the granddaughter of Egon is gay. Like, I don't care. I don't want that. You know, I would have backed the money truck to Rick Moranis and get him to come back. I don't think he's back, is he? Was he in the other one? I don't think so. You definitely need Rick Moranis in that mix. The comeback of Rick Moranis would have been amazing. But I don't think he's in it, right? And I just saw the cut scene of Eugene Levy and Rick Moranis from the first Ghostbusters, I guess it is? Or is it the second one? Is he in the second one? He is. Yeah. So that was kind of cool. I'd have brought him back too. And, you know, you just need comedians. You need comedians. Funny guys to be in the mix. JC, Rick is never coming back. I can't blame him. Can't blame him at all. The other problem is you need guys who are funny to direct. There's not that many funny directors. I mean, gosh, about the only guy I can think of off the top of my head who even has something close to a sense of humor in terms of a director that's currently operating today, maybe you could have brought in Tarantino. I mean, it would have been kind of funny. Trying to think of a funny movie I've seen in recent years, and I can't really think of a really funny one off the top of my head. The guy who directed No Hard Feelings wasn't bad, but, you know, you need some really funny scripts. Ardent, Dennis Leary, Andrew Dice Clay, Ralphie May, Patricia O'Neill would have made a hilarious but so foul-mouthed set of Ghostbusters. Yeah, that would have been interesting. But Dennis Leary kind of isn't Dennis Leary. the way we love them anymore. No, we need new guys. Like, Matt Rife is pretty funny. I think he would have been good. Ardent Mr. Right with Sam Rockwell was pretty funny. I didn't even heard of that one. Gosh. Yeah, No Hard Feelings was the last comedy movie I saw that was recent and was okay. This is pretty good. You know. But, you know, it didn't blow me away, but I thought, oh, this is all right. I laughed in a few scenes. I laughed more at the trailer than I did at the movie, quite frankly. Ardent, yeah, no, Leary went pretty dramatic after his second album. Yeah, kind of got away from what he did and what made him famous, which I didn't like. You know, if you brought back, like Patton Oswalt and Kumali, like, they did some funny stuff that was okay, but not great. I know, Thomas Lennon and Ben Grant, the guys from Reno 9/11, those are the guys who should have written the Ghostbusters. They would have been perfect. They also did A Night at the Museum. I think they wrote that. I don't think they directed anything in that, but they directed the Reno 9/11 movies, and they're pretty good, up to a point. They did use Patton. I'll tell you another guy who would have been great. Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I bet he could direct a great Ghostbusters movie with some of the guys from It's Always Sunny and him. I'd pay to see that. Just bring the whole cast of It's Always Sunny, make them the Ghostbusters. That would be an amazing movie. I would pay all day to see that. In fact, once AI is up and running where you could like ask it to do movies based on your suggestions, that's the first suggestion I'm going to say. I'm going to say, AI, I want to see a Ghostbusters movie starring the cast from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as their characters from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia becoming the Ghostbusters. Tell me that wouldn't be amazing. JC, he got away from what made him famous, stealing Bill Hicks jokes. Yes. Yes. Yes, he did. Go back to stealing Bill Hicks, Dennis. Demon Slayer is next from Crunchyroll, 46,000. It's anime. 40 million worldwide. Carol Doda topless at the Condor. Well, I don't know what this is. Is this a new movie? It looks like a documentary. I don't know what this movie is. I'll have to do some research. You know what? Oh, it's only in 4 theaters. Let's see. Let's pop it into the IMDb real quick and get the synopsis. Kind of interested in anything with a topless woman in it. All right. A documentary, yeah. Set in San Francisco. Hey, shut up. Set in San Francisco in 1964, where Carol Doda became the first dancer to go topless and in the process became a tourist attraction, second only to the Golden Gate Bridge. I am less enthused about a documentary, but I assume there are boobies in it. Joan, get over here. God. You done with your cucumber? The Taste of Things. Here. Shut up, Joan. We're doing a live stream where we do it live. The Taste of Things, that's an IFC film, art house movie. JC, most interesting movie you've talked about tonight. Well, it has boobies. You can't go wrong with boobies. Let's be honest. If there were more boobies in Ghostbusters, it would be a hit. Poor Things, bleh. No interest. Go away, feminist Frankenstein. Snack Shack, probably should have done better. Some people called this, oh my god, it dropped by 90%. That is not good. Oh, maybe this movie isn't any good. Wow. Second week, it dropped 90%. That has no legs. Yeesh. How much did they waste on this film? Damn, in the opening weekend it was $300,000. It's only at $435,000. That is very not money. But in its defense, it didn't have a wide release. So, it looked fun. How bad could it be? Bad, apparently. Remembering Gene Wilder, documentary. Not really meant to be in theaters, but whatever. Oh, and a bunch of movies premiered that are at the bottom of the list because they only are in one theaters. Femme. Oh, I saw the trailer to this. So it's about a trans woman who gets beaten up by a dude and then becomes his friend to get revenge, and I guess his gay lover, and then I don't know what happens. Something like that. Like he gets beaten up as a trans woman and then later somehow gets his revenge as a man. Free Time. Not so sure what that's about. Looks like a comedy, I would say, from the poster. Let's see what that movie's about. Also looks like a foreign movie. It's from last year. Yeah, comedy. Approaching the end of his 20s and his relative youth, a man decides to quit his cushy desk job and embrace life, only to realize he has no idea what to do with his newfound freedom. That's not a bad premise. I'd check that out. And then Limbo. This looks like an art house movie. Let's check it out. Also made last year. Limbo follows the investigation of a 20-year-old Outback cold case murder by jaded detective Travis Hurley. So I guess that's a documentary of sorts. So, or is it? Can't tell if it's a documentary or it's a movie that sort of looks like a documentary. It kind of looks cool. Maybe. I mean, it's Australia, so maybe it's kind of different and interesting. So these are new movies. These are the movies that were out this week. And the box office, not bad. 103 million. Well, we're over 100 million anyway. So that's slightly better than last week. I think we were at 86 million last week. Yeah, 87 million last week. So we're at least over 100 million. So that's an improvement. I don't know if Ghostbusters has legs, though. Yeah, I think it's like you said. People are kind of tired of the reboots and whatnot. They kind of blew it on the first one with this, with the female Ghostbusters. Afterlife did okay. But like by that time, they kind of damaged the brand. This is exactly, by the way, what I predicted with Hollywoke, another novel. So in the book, there's a character, and it's supposed to be Bill Murray, but I think I called him Murray Williams because I like to do that with the names. So he's supposed to be doing a reboot of a very funny franchise, and I kind of imply it's Ghostbusters, but I can't say it. I made up a different title. And then what happens is the studio's pushing to make it woke, but the main character is a studio exec, and he's trying to protect it and make it good because he wants good comedies. And at first, he manages to protect the movie and give the director the leeway to do something actually funny, but eventually the DEI person gets on the set and ruins it. But he's able to like pull it away from that a little bit in the editing, but ultimately what you get is a lukewarm sequel that isn't as good as the originals, and it's sort of a sad statement on, sort of a sad send off to the franchise. JC, Mary Williams, I get it. Yeah, I'm so clever, aren't I? Um, but yeah, so that's kind of what the Ghostbusters franchise feels like. Like they're not bad now, but they're not like great. Like the Ghostbusters should really do something like astronomically crazy. To some extent, they can't because the main guys are kind of old and they probably don't want to do it. But again, you could have casted other comedians to be their, you know, sons uh, and or cousins or whatever, and had taken over the family business, and you'd probably do the thing where, oh yeah, the Ghostbusters, they don't make any money anymore. Everybody's sick of them. They're just struggling along, and then something happens and it brings it all back, you know. Um, but should have kept it in New York, I think. But and it should be, the original Ghostbusters was a bit of a statement on New York too. There was a lot of New York in the movie. We should have saw some of that in the current movies. I think. I don't know if there's any of that in there. I kind of doubt it, and if it is, it's probably all woke and stupid. So I would like to see something about the insane rise of crime in New York. If you're going to make a movie in New York, kind of about New York, how can you not mention the insane spike in crime? That you're just ignoring it? Like, no, it's the greatest city in the world. Not right now. Not right now, it isn't. It's bad. JC, just leave it alone. It's old and washed up now. Might as well make a Buck Rogers remake. Same difference. Yeah. Nah, I hear you. I want new stuff. I want totally new stuff. If you pushed the button at a studio and said, we're not going to do any old projects, I'd be very interested in seeing that studio's stuff. It would be a struggle at first, but I think eventually they'd get a hit, and eventually people would be like, oh, it's all new stuff. What Hollywood always does, it follows the trends. Some studio will probably do that. They'll finally have a hit. It's not a remake. And, they'll do another hit, and then they'll go down that trend. And they'll go from like, oh, everything's a franchise to nothing can be a franchise. We're done with franchises. And it would probably be a good thing for a few years, but inevitably you might have a movie. Oh, well, this is a perfect franchise, and we did the first movie, and we got 2 more planned, and like, it's a huge hit. And the studio goes, no, we don't do franchises anymore, and, that'll be it. But I think the movie landscape is changing. I think I've said before how I would do movies and TV shows together, kind of. And I think they're kind of trying to do that. I just did a movie trailer for a movie called Cash Out with John Travolta. It looks okay. I mean, it's watchable, probably. Kristen Davis is in it. She does not look watchable in it, but it's John Travolta being a criminal with a heart of gold. Well, apparently, and somebody named Shadow Dancer recommended it, and I looked at the trailer. Apparently, they've already got a sequel in the works or shooting it, and instead of Kristen Davis in the second movie, I think it's going to be Gina Gershon. It's going to be the hot chick, which, it doesn't look awful, but it doesn't look great. And it doesn't look like it's going to get the kind of wide release anyway. So it's kind of like a movie TV show. If it hits, they'll have a second one. If it doesn't hit, well, they'll have a second movie that could be marketed apart from the first movie. So that's probably, I think, where Hollywood should head, right? You do movies kind of like TV shows where you make them good enough that, okay, we're going to do at least a second or third movie, kind of like but you budget them kind of like a TV show. You don't have impossible stakes and CGI and all that kind of stuff. You kind of do like a mid-level movie, and then you do like 3 of them. JC, streaming model is retarded. Completely unsustainable. All these studios are effed. I think it would be sustainable if they cut back. I mean, look, they're spending a ton of money on TV, right? Or they did. Now they're cutting back. So if you have a streaming service, you got to look to what's successful on television. And what's successful on television? Well, they put on commercials. That makes them money. They have reality shows. Those are cheap to shoot. Like, these streaming services don't have any of this stuff. They should just take all the stuff from network television and start putting it on the streaming platform and put commercials on it and make it for free. And if you don't want to see the commercials, you can pay like $5-10 a month. And then you see no commercials. And then you can, do the library and see any show whenever you want. When it's free, you'll see it at a certain time, and if you miss it, you miss it. And that's the way they should probably structure, and that's the way they're going to structure it. Eventually. Eventually, they're going to get to that point. You might as well shut down the TV stations for the most part. You just put it on the internet. But, I don't know, they're not there yet. All these studios are effed, though. You are right on that. They've put too much in the streaming model, and I believe they're lying about their numbers. I believe they've always lied about them, and they're going to continue to lie about them. There's some evidence that they have lied, and I think it's just the tip of the iceberg. And again, I put that in Hollywoke, another novel. JC, you need a metric S ton of content to sustain your subscribers. You're just burning money trying to keep up. Doesn't matter how many subscribers you have, it'll never be enough. That is mostly true, unless you got to do it like this. Let's say you have a subscription service with 100 million, let's say, we're talking Disney here, like 100 million subscribers, right? So 100 million a month, let's say you're only charging $5 a month. So you're making $500 million a month. Well, that's more than enough money to make content, but you can't spend over $500 million making it. And in fact, what you should be doing is cross-pollinating the network stuff with the streaming stuff, right? Like initially, Peacock was just NBC stuff. And you could see The Office, and you could see reruns and whatnot. And you could see little vignettes. Like that kind of stuff is what subscribers, I think, want if they're big fans of your content. And you need to make quality, but you need to make it cheaper. You can make cheaper quality, but it requires writers, and it requires not doing the DEI thing. Because the moment you enter the DEI zone, you've effed everything. Because you're not even following reality anymore. Now you're just hammering in race relations and gender relations and all this commie BS that isn't reality, and you're trying to make it work. And you can't. So your dramas don't work. Your comedies definitely don't work because these people are soulless automaton, soulless communists who don't laugh at anything. They're offended by everything. That's what's really at the heart of this. If this content was worth it, if everything was 90s Seinfeld, oh man, you'd pay for it. You'd absolutely pay for it. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show worth paying for. And we're in our last season here. I can't wait to watch it. But that's one show. And it has to be on HBO because it's too adult and everything else. JC, you're not following reality, chasing the streaming dragon, and you wonder why their politics are so delusional. I think you can make it work if you follow the economy of it. If you make $100 million on streaming, you can't spend $100 million. You have to spend $50 million. That's a lot of money. You can make a lot of content for $50 million. You could be doing innovative things like you go to YouTubers and say, hey, popular YouTuber, we're going to give you a show. We want it exclusive on our streaming platform. You can't put it on YouTube, at least not now, and we'll pay you X amount of dollars for your content, and you just do one video a week, let's say. That would bring exclusive subscribers to you. They would make money. You would make money. Again, you have to put commercials on the free version. You have to make it a network entity, essentially. And then You know, if you don't want the commercials, you pay a little bit of money. A little bit. Not a lot, a tiny bit. And then you pay a little more money if you want the premium package. You have access to everything they've ever done to the beginning of time, and you could access it whenever you want. You won't get everybody doing that. You won't get everybody to pay $20 a month or whatever, but you'll get enough that'll be worth doing. When you're making 100 million, you spend 50 at most. They're not doing that. They're making 100 million and they're spending 300 million. It's insane. JC, they tried that. YouTubers don't work on television, it turns out. Well, what I saw is they tried to make YouTube videos at Disney, and the first thing they did was built a studio. It cost millions and millions of dollars. That's not what you do. You go to a guy like, I don't know, who would be appropriate? Let's think. Somebody who could do a regular content on a weekly basis who's popular enough. I mean, I'm sure there's somebody, some hot chick, right? Just some smoking hot chick who does, I don't know, little videos about makeup or reviews or whatever. Somebody who's just so amazingly hot, people would just go, wow, I'm going to watch this. JC, they gave Fred a Netflix show. See, but that's not the way to do it. What you want to do is, for instance, if I was a big enough guy in YouTube, you would give me a show that would be like, it wouldn't be a screenwriter's rant, and it wouldn't be this, and it wouldn't be Hollywoke hot take, it wouldn't be anything I do. It would be something related to what I do, like a movie thing. Like, they would say, we want you to do movie reviews. JC, what was that chick with this that sung songs with tons of lipstick on? She had a show. Yeah, but like, you wouldn't have to pay these people a lot of money. You wouldn't have to pay me a ton of money to do, like, if my job was, we'll pay you, say, $2,000. And every week we want, I don't know, movie reviews of all the major movies. So go out and see them and make a 10-minute video or 15-minute video or whatever fits, and put it together in a YouTube video and a show. Make sure your cute dog's in it. You know, all the things you do, and you can't put it on your channel. And I'd be like, money. So I'd do it. And there'd be a couple of rules and whatever. And then my fans go to the channel to see, I say, oh, I'm doing movie reviews now for Netflix or whatever. And then hopefully they go there. But it's not a lot of money. See, they dump money on Fred. They dump money on these people. You don't want to dump money on people. You want to just say, look, we'll pay you some money, but we're not asking you to do a lot. So for me to do a movie review for a few grand, that'd be no big deal. I can go out and do that. I can go see movies and watch. It's worth it to me. So, we have a new person entering the chat. LeMay. Do these stations turn streaming services host contest or fan events anymore? I remember Nick used to show kids mail-in fan art with a segment along with televised trips with the winners. This was Nick's Southeast Asia station. Not that I'm aware of. That's a good idea too. That's a good idea. It would depend upon the show, I think. But yeah, like a art contest. I mean, and these would be pretty niche. I think you could make it work. Again, as long as you didn't spend a lot of money. They gave Fred millions of dollars. That was a dumb move. Dumb move. Okay, he was very popular on YouTube. I don't think he's popular anymore. But you don't give him that kind of money. Now, at the time, he might have balked at lowballing him because he was making a ridiculous sum on YouTube, I have to imagine. That was back when YouTube, before the ad apocalypse, so he had to be rolling in it. So I guess they had to pay him money at that time, but I'm talking about now. Now, I think you could find people who'd be willing to do videos for you reasonably cheap. reasonably cheap. Like even a guy, I'm trying to think of a guy who makes money. Well, the only guy who keeps coming to mind is Razor Fist, but he probably wouldn't do it. But maybe you could say to Razor Fist, listen, we'll give you $5,000, I don't know, a week or a month, maybe 10,000, and just do the video on your own, and we'll, and we want you to do video game reviews. They have to be X amount of minutes long, approximately. Just do it and tell you and promote it to your fans, and do it in your inevitable style. I would totally hire Razor Fist. Now, I don't think Netflix or anybody else would, but yeah, I think he'd be good. JC, Fred was making millions on YouTube. They had to give him millions. Yeah, so he'd be the wrong guy. Ardent, fans, media producers have been ignoring those for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. And if you're making a living on YouTube, you probably are just like, I don't want to deal with all these rules. You'd have to open it up. It is on a streaming platform, so you can. There's no rules. You can put whatever you want. Jeremy over at the Quartering, I know he would do it. Absolutely, 100%. But again, I don't know how much money he's making. I don't know how much it would be worth it for him to take on like another video a week. But I think he could do something perfectly, watchable. And he could bring his fans over and they'd all benefit. The perfect guys would be like Dana Carvey is doing a podcast. But he would need money. I don't think you'd have to pay him as much, but he would need money. He would probably demand union. So, I think if you found the right people, I think if you found young people who were beautiful and they were doing something, if you found some hot girl who was like a chef and did a cooking show, I think it'd be fine to recruit her. And, the guy who does Tasting History, that's a good show. I like that show a lot. He's got a lot of good, interesting historical stuff, and he's got good food. Ardent, the sultans are willing to do Chinese TV if it pays well enough. I don't know. You've said some things about the Communist Party, Ardent. I think it's too late. Don't they have you on this stream and associated with a virulent anti-communist? I'm of course talking about Joan. She hates communists way worse than I do, right, Joan? Oh, you'll just kill them. You'll just kill them if you see a commie. Yes, you will. Yes, you will. You'll kill those commies. A good doggy. JC, Quartering is too mid. No one would follow him over behind a paywall. He's just good at spamming the algorithm. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there. Ardent, LOL, I'm not virulent. I had my shots. Ardent. All right, let's get into the trades. See what's going on in Hollywoke. Oh, God, this ad. Go away. Friggin' pop-ups. Ghostbusters. Article on that. The big controversy. Stormy. Hi, Stormy. Let's be honest, honey. You do anything for money. LOL. Over at MSNBC, the big controversy, in case you haven't heard it, Ronna McDaniel, who was the head of the RNC, and like her job was to promote the party and get RNC members elected, and she did a terrible job because she's a total rhino and a total sellout. And she was immediately offered a job on MSNBC the moment she was forced to step down by Trump. Ardent, quiet, wench. Stormy, yes, master. Nice. So Ronna McDaniel, immediately, the rhino neocon she is like, yes, MSNBC, I'd be happy to go on the air and eventually agree with the Democrats. And apparently, I don't know, there's some sort of faux outrage about it by the host, and then various people in the leftoid land got mad, and various people on the right got mad, but who cares about Ronna McDaniel? So So that's the faux outrage that's going on there. And it says NBC News keeps chasing conservatives with controversial talent moves. Yeah, it's so right wing over at NBC and MSNBC. Oh, holy crap! I mean, soon Donald Trump will be running the network. Are you people out of your minds? Anyone who's even remotely not a leftoid, anybody who's not full blown communist. Oh my God, right wing, run away. Alex Ogle. Interesting week for entertainment recommendations. I can't work out whether Ghostbusters will be any good. Alkalite seems to be the twitching of the corpse of Star Wars. Yeah, I kind of have to agree with you. I'm sort of on the fence about Ghostbusters. Once I heard that rumor about the lesbian romance, I'm like, damn it. Because I feel like it could be a bait and switch, but I don't know. I heard good things about Afterlife. I still haven't seen it. I'm waiting for it to show up on Max, but Alkalite, yeah, that looks awful. Oh man, watch the trailer for that if you want to waste 3 minutes of your life. Holy F. Alex, people tell me that Three Body Problem is going to be good on Netflix, but I refuse to renew my subscription after Cuties. Good for you. I have a free subscription that I tried to cancel over Cuties, and they told me I'm not paying for it, so they won't cancel it. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to continue to have it. I'll never pay for it, though. Ardent, the Alkalite looks like a slightly more interesting than watching paint dry, but less so than watching the cheese molder. Oh, hold on. I'm blowing up. Let me just tell him. I'll call you later. Call you later, bro. Ardent, good man, Alex. Yeah, the Alkalite looks bad. Looks really bad. Looks girl boss. Total girl boss crap. All the main characters are female. There's like a handful of men in there. They look completely marginalized. The show is run by Leslie Headland, the lesbian former assistant of Harvey Weinstein. And one of the lines in the trailer is, it's not about good or evil. I'm paraphrasing. It's not about good or evil. It's about who has the power. So it sounds completely Marxist, 100% Marxist. And I expect it to be, and look at the movie poster they made for it. It literally, my first thought, and then this was confirmed by other people, it wasn't just me. There's like a red streak where in a lightsaber that's not on, and it looks like the red streak's kind of coming out of the lightsaber as if it's like a bloody mark, which I think the symbology is it's supposed to be menstrual blood. I think. That was my first instant reaction when I saw it. I said, oh, this is menstrual blood. This is going to be a super female thing. But you look at it and you tell me. Everybody's making fun of it. I think the most viewers will be people watching it and making fun of it. There's going to be some Star Wars stans, I guess, who are still the last holdouts. The people I mean. The people who are like deep, deep, deep down the leftoid rabbit hole and refuse to come out. But other than that, I don't see where the market is for this show about girls pretending to be Jedis and doing stunts. Carrie-Anne Moss is the main character, I think. And the stunts looked bad. Although I didn't really notice the first time I watched it. I was just kind of like, this whole thing is boring. Ardent, LOL, free bleeding Jedi gross. Please don't hate watch. Yeah, that's what I would say. At this point, I would urge anybody who still thinks they're a Star Wars fan, who still wants to give these shows another chance, please just try anything else. Just go off, do a little Google searching and find some other book series or comic or TV show. I hear The Expanse is great, although I think that's done, but I heard it's great. Ardent. Hashtag hate watching is still watching. Just find something else. There's gotta, if you guys have any recommendations for good sci-fi that hasn't been ruined yet, you got Robert Heinlein, you You can read his books. They're interesting. I like Kurt Vonnegut. He's got a lot of sci-fi in his books. You know, what the hell did I used to read? God, it's been so long since I really read a sci-fi novel. But I like a lot of the alternate history stuff. I read that sometimes. Ardent, I am a Star Wars fan, but I'd recommend reading The Dresden Files. There you go, right there. So, any recommendations, feel free to put them out there. Maybe some of the other people in the chat haven't heard of them yet. The Forever War, classic. Any of the classics. I would recommend anything by Harlan Ellison. I Have No Mouth, but I Must Scream. It's a really messed up sci-fi. If you haven't read that, oh man. Ardent and the Pineys, thank you. Thank you. Not a lot of sci-fi, but books 7 and 12, definitely sci-fi. No sci-fi in 14, which just came out. No sci-fi in 15. Might be some in 16, I don't know. Ardent, anything by Heinlein, yes. There's lots of stuff out there. All right. Ardent Zelani, yeah. LeMay, Legend of the Galactic Heroes. I haven't heard of that one. Is that a series or a comic series? I don't know. Ardent, A.E. Van Vogt. Van Vogt. Oh, Peter Varley, I think his name is. I know his last name's Varley. I think his first name's Peter. I used to like his stuff. Alex Ogle. The trailer for The Acolyte has Carrie-Anne Moss fighting like a no-contact martial arts expert. I have had YouTube recommend me shorts on them fighting against real masters. It's funny. Ardent. The Conan stories are public domain. I'm thinking I may do a few readings on my channel. Cool. Alex Ogle. Vonnegut's Sirens of Mars would make a great film. Yeah, I don't think they haven't done that one. They did Slapstick, but that was a weird one to do. They did Slaughterhouse-5, of course. That one's okay. It wasn't as good as it could have been, but it was pretty good, I guess. What else did they do? You know what they haven't done, which I love, is Breakfast of Champions. It's not really sci-fi, but Kilgore Trout is in it. Ardent, I'd recommend my buddy Cassander's Little Moon People stories. The published ones on my channel are doing well. Oh, neat. Haven't heard of that. So there you go. Little Moon People by Cassander. Ardent, love Vonnegut. Who doesn't love Vonnegut? He had a great sense of the universe he was building. Jill Biden, Human Rights Campaign keynote address disrupted by protesters calling for Gaza ceasefire. I don't totally disagree with wanting a Gaza ceasefire. I just think these protesters are complete and utter hypocrites. I don't think they're anti-war at all. I think they've latched on to one particular issue because they're total commies. But I do love that they are now disrupting the Democrats. That is fantastic. Enjoy, Jill Biden. Alex Ogle, I have a 30-second book club coming on Roadside Picnic by the Sturgatsky brothers. Communist dissident sci-fi with highly enjoyable and unexpected story points. So check that out. Ardent. His full name is Cassander Garduna, native guy from Tennessee. Well, that's an interesting last name, Garduna. When I did the research for Complete Mafia for D20, Garduna was the name of a Spanish prison gang. It was called La Garduna, and it was a Spanish prison gang during the Inquisition that eventually probably became the prototype for the Camorra. But they were very big in Spain, and then when the Spanish took over mainland Italy, the Garduna came, and eventually, at least according to what I read, I think they eventually morphed into the Camorra. which were the early mafiosos, and then the mafia was sort of the Camoras of Sicily in their own way. Now they're different, but early on, we're talking like late Middle Ages, early Renaissance. So that's interesting. Interesting last name there, Garduna. All right, let's see. What? Anything else in Variety? Gene Smart and Sterling K. Brown honored for queer allyship. LGBTQ rights and racial justice are not separate battles. What the hell are you talking about? What does this have to do with films? Alex said, Ardent, where's your channel with the Little Moon People stories? I don't know if he can post it, but post enough stuff that he could search for it. Ardent, he's mostly an artist and songwriter. The Sultans have a book club as well. There's so much alt media out there. Yeah. Olivia Colman criticizes gender pay gap in Hollywood. If I was Oliver Colman, I'd be earning a lot more. Shut up. No, the pay gap's a myth. Shut up. It's not the way it works. Ardent at Alex. Here on YouTube, look for my Wordsmith Wednesday playlist. Wordsmith Wednesday playlist. You want to look for, Alex? But Olivia Colman could shut up. All right, moving on to Fandom Pulse. The Pokemon Company International shuts down ROM-free fan games. Relic Castle DMCA'd off the internet. Well, that doesn't sound good. Seems mean. Why? Ardent says, search my chat name. Should probably post right up. That would be Ardent Party. Pardy. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Does Hollywood seriously think we won't notice their sex programming? See, it's articles like this that make me go, oh no. Oh no. Is this why Bill Murray looks like he's half asleep? Columbia Pictures' latest Ghostbuster films features lesbian romance between a 15-year-old girl and a friendly, forlorn ghost. The relationship is tame enough that some viewers might be able to overlook the romantic overtones of their relationship, at least until the 15-year-old girl starts trying to figure out a way to touch her newfound friend by temporarily transforming herself into a ghost. I don't like where that's going at all. What the F? What the F? While Ghostbusters Frozen Empire has plenty of harmless jokes and visual gags, it also has exceptionally blunt sex jokes that surpass the level of innuendo. Any parent who takes their children to see this film will probably find their children asking on the way home, Daddy, what's a sex dungeon? In the film, there is also a suggestive imagery involving Slimer creature passing through a young man's face. I don't know. Fandom Pulse is pretty hardcore, so they may be overstating it, but I don't know. I kind of trust them. LeMay, weird. Alex Ogle at Arden. I searched your name and YouTube gave me nothing. They gave me nothing. The algorithm is working well. Then found your channel by searching for the artist name. Subscribe. There you go. All right, we got a subscriber for Ardent. While Paul Rudd's stepfather's character is mostly likable, there's a scene where he and his wife, Carrie Coon, unashamedly have an innuendo-laden conversation in front of their children, Finn Wolfhard and McKenna Grace. Okay, that's weird. Doesn't seem like the right kind of scene for Paul Rudd. Ardent, why must there be such blunt comedy? Whatever happened to clever wit and innuendo? I just think there's too many characters in this movie. While some viewers may choose to overlook this sort of thing, any discerning audience member can tell the filmmaker's agendas in Ghostbusters Frozen Empire involves planning sexual imagery and sexual language in the minds of children and normalizing the use of sexual language in the vicinity of children. Well, there were some jokes in the original Ghostbusters. Yes, it's true. This man has no dick. But they were very funny. Um, I mean, but I don't know if you'd even call that joke all that sexual. They did, curse at Peck. Dickless over here shut off the power grid. Um, Ardent, thanks, Alex. Welcome. Hope you enjoy. I respond to every comment I can. So, yeah, done. That's. It's kind of a turnoff though to hear this. Did not want the lesbian romance in the movie. That seems do without that. Ardent, LOL. I love that scene. Yeah, because it comes out of nowhere. See, that's the thing with comedy. You got to surprise people. Like, they're not saying that kind of stuff throughout the movie. You know? They understand what to focus on. They focus on different things. So, like in Act 1, the first thing they're focusing on is they're all scientists trying to get money, but Venkman is clearly just a scam artist. He's trying to get with some hot chick, even though he's doing that test with the shocking the dude, and he's actually starting to it's actually starting to work, but he kind of ignores him because he just wants the hot chick. Stranger Moosh, hello, Stranger Moosh, welcome. I think Americans have a weird obsession with Ghostbusters. Honestly, I find it okay, but its transcendence is a bit overrated. Just my opinion. How dare you? How dare you, Stranger Mosh? I don't care. I think a lot of it is, with comedy, a lot of it is the delivery. It's just the timing and the little bits. Venkman in the first movie is such a scam artist. He's such a scammer. He clearly doesn't want to be a scientist. He doesn't care about the science at all. And that's part of the great part of his character. Like, he's really just in it for the money. Whereas Ray and Egon, Egon's the ultimate scientist, and Ray is like this sort of, he's a scientist, but he's also really into the occult, and he thinks it could work, and he's just, he's kind of hapless. And so the three of them in the opening scenes are just so funny. So even if it didn't turn into a movie about Ghost, like if it turned out in the Ghostbusters universe that after the first scene where Egon tries to invent something to capture Ghost, they go to like the library to look for a ghost and they don't find one. Like, the movie still could have been good because the characters were interesting. You could have had a whole movie in which they're trying to be Ghostbusters, but ghosts don't exist. And really, Egon's theories and Ray's just aren't going to work. That's kind of what I make fun of ghost chasers in the because there are ghost chasers locally here in South Jersey. I kind of make fun of them in book 12 of the Pineys, and but like, they're interesting characters. Egon is a scientist, and Ray is kind of hapless, and Venkman is, a scammer. But I didn't care one whit if any of these guys got laid or who they had sex with. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Alex Ogle, it's true that comedy is increasingly a lost art, but Tony is right. I'm always right. It's always used to be smutty when it was good, but it always was smart about being smutty. Yes, there's a real art to it. So I'll tell you a quick story about comedy. When I did my college comedy TV show with my friends, we would always audition people, and every year, although we weren't, like, this is way before I got into improv, but they would try to do improv scenes in the audition. It was always a disaster, but it was just sort of a way, like, you could loosen people up and see if they'd be any good in a scene, if they could think on their feet. And I totally blew my audition, but I begged them to let me be a writer, and I got on the show. But I didn't have any confidence. They were always rattling me, so I was always terrible in my sketches, but that's another story. Anyhow, when you'd ask somebody, okay, we're going to do a scene in a store, come into the store and return something. What do you think they would always 100% of the time say? Young guys trying to be funny. They would always say the same thing. Hi, I'm here to return this condom. Every time. Like every single time. And why did they do that? Well, because they're nervous and they're looking for the funniest thing, and it's like, it's vulgar and it's gross, and you could argue, yeah, that's kind of funny, but it's not really. It's a quick cheap laugh, and you've got nowhere to go with that. It's kind of like way up here. In improv, you want to just return something neutral and start the scene, and then let it turn into something. So, we didn't really understand improv when we were doing that, but almost 100% of the time they'd go right to used condom. 100% of the time. When I was doing improv shows and we asked the audience for a suggestion, give me an object. A lot of times they'd say condom. Give me a movie genre. They'd say porn. Every time. So you can't just go there. It's not enough. It's funny if you get there somehow by some convoluted way sometimes. It's not about doing something outrageous constantly, because that numbs people to it. You have to build to it, and then you have to kind of sneak it in the back door, so to speak, and surprise them. And it's all about surprise. Comedy's a surprise. Comedy's a good surprise, generally speaking, or a surprise on a character that isn't you. And horror is a bad surprise, like, oh god, that spike just went right through his head. So these guys, like the commies, don't understand that. Their idea of a surprise, they can't do a surprise because they're constantly lecturing you. So, like, a surprise would be, the trans person is the bad guy, right? But they'll never do that. Oh my God, they wouldn't do that. Because they'd be too busy in the writer's meeting and go, well, we can't do that. We don't want to portray trans people as evil. But that's exactly what you would probably want to do. And then you could skewer trans people because they're just like anybody else. You can make fun of them. They have sense of humor about themselves. Yes, some of them would complain. Absolutely, 100%. But it doesn't matter who you skewer. There's always someone to complain. But you can't have a surprise if you're only skewering the acceptable people. You have to skewer the sacred cows. And right now, the sacred cows are all the woke people and all their woke commie BS. That's all the sacred cows. You should be skewering the communists non-stop in everything. In every comedy movie there. You should be skewering the Democrats non-stop. They're the ones in power. Skewer them. You should be skewering Joe Biden non-stop. Non-stop. Until, you're beating a dead horse. I made fun of Donald Trump back in the first time he ran for office, where he didn't even get in the nomination. I was making jokes about him turning the White House into a casino and stuff. And you have to know what the target is for your comedy. The target, it's true, you have to punch up. But the problem is, the woke tards think anybody who's not on board with their lefty politics are the enemy. Therefore, they're above, and it's okay to punch them. They're wrong, especially now. They had a point 50 years ago. 50 years ago, the leftoids had a point. Now they don't have a point. Now they just do it reflexively. They're idiots. And they shouldn't be allowed to do comedy. Alex Ogle, Red Letter Media summed up Ghostbusters really beautifully as essentially a story about setting up a pest control business and struggling to make it profitable. It only becomes successful as problems grow. Okay, interesting. I was on the fence about watching Red Letter Media. I used to really like them, and now I'm not so sure. I like when he does Mr. Plinkett, and I don't know, did he do Mr. Plinkett for that one? I don't think he did. Ardent, one of my childhood friends tried to jump on that Ghost Chaser bandwagon. Really bad Dead Parrot sketch. Mr. Robot has a trans villain. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. Ardent, Biden, speaking of dead parrots, it is deceased. It is no longer a parrot. I can't remember the rest of it. Oh, I'm sorry. That was Stranger Mosh. Mr. Robot has a trans villain. Interesting. Did not know that. Well, that's why Mr. Robot was a pretty interesting show. I watched a lot of that. I didn't get to that part. Oh, wait. Now I do remember the trans villain in Mr. Robot. That's right. It was Wong. What's the name? I forget his first name. He was from SVU. Yeah. Was he trans? I don't know if he was trans. I couldn't tell if he was trans or he was just hiding as a woman. Ardent Party. He's pining for the fjords, Tony. Yes, that's the line. The dead parrot sketch. He's pining for the fjords. But anyhow, sorry to go on a rant about comedy, but yeah, that doesn't sound good for Ghostbusters. Now, it may be that Fandom Pulse is overreacting a little, and this is such a short scene, it doesn't matter. But I don't know. Alex Ogle. I love the sketch format of the radio comedy The Buttkiss Way. Typical Douglas Adams. Doorbell rings, footsteps, door opens. Person one, yes. Person two, what do you mean, yes? I live here. It's a strange way to start a sketch. Stranger Mosh. The White Rose persona could be considered the modern trans. LeMay. Have you seen The Portuguese Falcon? A movie about a fascist superhero killing communists? No, I haven't. It had decent fight choreography, and I thought it was funny. Interesting. I'll have to check that out. The Portuguese Falcon. Huh. I did see El Conde, which is... oh, God. Can't think of the guy's name. I keep forgetting. It's the fascist dictator from Argentina who, it turns out he's actually a vampire. He's been a vampire for 150 years, but nobody knew except his kids. It's a pretty interesting movie. But yeah, so comedy's got to be a surprise. It's got to be good. Sounds to me like Ghostbusters is kind of like what I said in Hollywoke. It would be a Midland sort of ending to a once great franchise. Pinochet. Thank you, Ardent. Can never remember that name. Pinochet. Yes. El Conde's kind of an interesting flick. Young artist drops disgusting DAs from Ed Piskor of Cartoonist Kayfabe. I felt like he was trying to groom me. Oh, weird. I don't know who that is, but doesn't sound good. Xbox doubles down on DEI agenda following Sweet Baby Inc. backlash. I gotta sell my video games at this point. I mean, maybe I'll keep them, but I don't know. Maybe I need to get out before the whole thing collapses. Kotaku's Alyssa Mercante appears to be cozying to Melanie Mack for what reason? Well, it could be that some of these people are seeing the writing on the wall and they're trying to recruit people who are on the right so they can make money when everyone abandons the left. And this is going to be a thing. Ardent, I always remember Pinochet because he liked to give commies helicopter rides. Yes. JC, I love cartoonist kayfabe. Bummer, bad look. Yeah, if that's true. Now, it might not be true, but these days, I don't know, man. But weird that Kotaku is trying to recruit Melanie Mack, but again, it could be just to make the jump to the right wing. Melanie Mack is a weird chick. I think she's cute, though, but she's got some weirdness about her that I can't quite pin. But cute, though. Yeah, don't go by me. Don't go by me. Again, low bar. Again, I'm trying to work on that. I think the current girl I'm seeing, I raised the bar. A retrospective look at Godzilla versus Charles Barkley from Dark Horse Comics. I don't remember this. JC, I say the screenshot. I think you mean I see the screenshots. The conversation is out of context, but texting a 17-year-old is very stupid. Yeah, I mean, you're in legal territory in most states, but I don't know how old the other guy is. Ardent, yeah, Melanie Mack is an odd spot with the hot, crazy Matrix. Yeah. JC, I saw the screenshots. Yeah. I don't remember this at all. Charles Barkley versus Godzilla. This had to be like the 90s, right? Alex Ogle, Pinochet was Chilean. Oh, right. But yes, commies would get a single ticket on a skydiving course. Pokemon goes all in on DEI indoctrination. Don't like that. I'm already out of Pokemon, though. Oh, it's Captain Kirk's birthday. 93rd birthday this week. GAC, the chick's screen name is something. Yeah, look at this. You got the dark and the light in these two headlines. George Lucas turns to the dark side. Yeah, supported Iger in the stock thing for Disney. Oh, don't want to get rid of Bob Iger. Yeah, he's doing a great job. Did you see the Alkalite? Yeah, I saw the Alkalite trailer, and I want to like jump out a window. But Captain Kirk is 93, and the guy hasn't missed a step. And he tweets. You should follow him on Twitter, 100%. He just tweeted today that he's got his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren all showing up to give him a birthday party. That's nice. And he was a guy back in the day, always active. You wouldn't know it from like him on the screen because he was a little chubby sometimes, and he had to wear a girdle, but guy was always riding horses, doing something. Her JC didn't finish the sentence. Her screen name was something goblin. Never mess with a chick that identifies as a goblin. She's going to ruin you. Yeah, she's too young for me anyway. She looked like she'd be a great fling, but then I'd be like, "Oh, I regret this." She says she's kind of religious though too, so that's not for me. That's not for me. Ardent, I tried to tweet at Shatner to come on Sultans for a while. Never got anywhere. Well, you can imagine how many tweets he must get. Alex Ogle, perhaps George Lucas wants Star Wars to fall hard now that he knows Disney will not do anything good for it. Maybe it will become cheap enough for someone responsible to buy. I don't know. I mean, this is a really weird move because he made some noise about how he was not happy with his deal, and Doomcock was speculating how he might buy it back, but I don't know. It might just be he just thinks he has to do it for monetary reasons. He owns a lot of Disney stock, apparently. So, maybe he thinks by doing this, the stock will stabilize and he can quietly divest. Maybe he's just too checked out to care. I don't know. JC, they gave him $4 billion for a dead franchise and took heat from the fans off of him for screwing it up. Yeah, basically. I mean, they screwed it up way worse than he did. Although I still contend he ruined it. He ruined it. But Razorfist was right. Oh boy, was he right. He said, about the prequels, you'll be begging for George Lucas before this is over. And a lot of fans are. But he ain't coming back. Nah. Ardent, Stormy identifies as an underpants gnome. Step 1, steal underpants. Step 2, Step 3, profit. JC, most of his $4 billion wrapped up in the Disney stock. Yeah, so he might just be protecting his stock. I don't know, man. When you got $4 billion and you're as old as him, do you even care about money? Like, why do you even care? Like, I would not care one whit about money if I had $4 billion. I just wouldn't care. Dude, you wasted $100,000 going out to get hamburgers. I don't care. I have $4 billion. I don't care about $100,000. I just can't even get upset about it. I mean, I'd be upset if people stole from me. Don't get me wrong. You're not stealing from me. But you got $4 billion. You can't possibly spend it. You can't possibly spend it. You could try, I guess. I mean, I'd probably take a good run at it, but who cares? At that age, I'd just be like going out to parties nonstop, drinking and eating. Drinking and eating, listening to music, doing whatever the F I wanted. There wouldn't be a damn day that would go by without me doing something. I'd probably be like Mr. Beast. I'd probably be buying Ferraris and dropping them off of cranes and blowing up houses for no reason, just to get a laugh on YouTube, or just for myself. What? I don't even need. I don't feel like recording it for YouTube. I'm just gonna do it. Boom. JC, prequels were garbage. It was already dead when they bought it. Yes. He ruined it with midichlorians. And he started to ruin it with Jedi. Ardent, in my view, Ardent, he shouldn't have given in on the Darth Jar Jar thing. Billion equals F money. Yeah. Just go do what you want, George. Over at the Hollywood Reporter, David Dasmalchian on how Late Night with the Devil reconnected him with Heath Ledger's Joker. There's a little of that vibe in the movie, I guess. It's a weird thing. He's a pretty good actor. I like him. The big scandal this week, and it's sort of been ongoing. Joan, I'm going to lift you over here, okay? Because you're too hot. You're making me hot. And this is about as much as I've grasped from sort of looking at the headlines. So Nickelodeon, apparently there's some shenanigans going on there, some dark stuff with Dan Schneider, one of the producers, and some of the other guys. One guy was a convicted sex offender. I think his name was Peck, Brian Peck. Yeah, and but some of the actors who are acting now had signed letters of support to help this guy, and Drake Bell, who's an actor from that era, came out and said, he had a terrible time. He was, I think he was molested or he was approached. I'm not sure. But it's effed up situation. Ardent, yeah, and the biggest sin Disney committed was decanonizing the extended universe. Oh yeah. Don't even get me started on that. But this Nickelodeon scandal is even bigger. Who the F knew this was going on behind the scenes? I was too old to really watch these kinds of shows when they were on in the early 2000s, but I sort of would see them flipping around channels, and I'd be like, oh, they seem to be doing well. I had a friend who worked on Nickelodeon for a short time. I think that was before they got really big with all the crazy goo being splashed around or whatever. But they had a real problem backstage, and they've got this docuseries called Quiet on the Set, The Dark Side of Kids TV. It is not good. Dan Schneider came out and apologized. I think that guy might be in a bit of trouble. I'm not sure. But I don't know why anybody would work with him anymore after the revelations. But, yeah, it doesn't look good. Alex Ogle. There are some glorious tales of Yabos winning the lottery and managing to pee all their money away, ending up right back where they started. Well, the latest guy won like $1.7 billion, and there was an article I just read that says his friends are worried that he's going to be kidnapped or something and he should get security. It is true. If you win that kind of money, you should absolutely 100% immediately get yourself some security guys, and then you have to manage your money. So you got to get if you win over $1 billion or some crazy amount of money, the first thing you should do is go right to the most expensive lawyers in your area, like the kind of lawyers that only rich people can use. And you walk right in there and you say, hey, listen, I'm now a rich guy and I just won all this money. Set me up. And when they ask, what do you mean? You just go, you know what I mean. Set me up like a rich guy who has a ton of money and put it all in various things, so I don't have to pay taxes or pay a lot of them, and then I could have, a few million to blow on crazy stuff I want to buy. And that's what you do, right? So you have steady income coming in investments all over the place, and you got tax shelters and all that crap. And that's what these guys should do. But some of them don't, and they think, oh, I can manage it. And, in fact, I get into a little bit of that in book 15 of the Pineys, so that you'll see, you'll have some fun with that there. And yeah, I would be, ready to blow some money, but at the same time, if you win, say $1 billion, you don't want access to $1 billion. Like you don't just start blowing money like that. You put 90% of it in real estate and investments and stuff. So it's all hidden in various investments. So if the economy collapses tomorrow, you'd have some of it somewhere. You put some in crypto or whatever. This isn't financial advice, by the way. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. So you do that. But some of these lottery winners don't do that. They think they can manage $1 billion like their checkbook, and you can't. You need people at that point, and you need trustworthy people. And so you have to go to the biggest lawyers in the area, because they'll probably 90% won't rip you off, because they are employed by the richest people in the area, and they're already rich too, and they do this stuff for a living. Like if you went to the cheapest guy, that would be a bad move, because that guy might be tempted to go, oh yeah, I'll take care of your money, and then, But if you go to the richest guys, those guys don't steal from anybody, because they already work for very rich people, some of which could have them killed, and they know that. So they're not going to rip you off. That would be my advice. Again, this isn't financial advice. It's just my opinion. Don't listen to my financial advice. Anyhow, moving on. Alex Ogle, $4 billion sounds like a lot, but I live in Trudeau's Canada, and that could be the price of a pizza with pineapple on it and a side of poutine before very long. It's very sad. Also very funny, but sad. And the saddest part of that is pineapple on pizza. Gross. Ardent at Alex. Yeah, life in the great white gulag is getting hard. I can only imagine. Stranger Mosh. A few million to blow on. Blow. Yeah, not for me. I once dated a woman who said, and she must have asked me several times, so you've never done cocaine? And I'm like, no. And she found that fascinating. And she was like, don't get me wrong, I'm not encouraging you to do cocaine, but you never even tried it? And I'm like, no. Don't do drugs, kids. Alex Ogle. Brewster's Millions was a superb film on this topic, but how do you think they could remake it woke? That's a good question. So Brewster gets the money, and he has to spend it, and he spends it all on commie stuff and realizes capitalism is bad. There you go. It's a pitch that writes itself. 3 Body Problem. Creators say Season 2 will be even better. Will they get one? I kind of am on the fence about this thing, because although a few people have raved about the book series, number one, it sounds super convoluted. Number two, it sounds like it has a lot of communist stuff in it. But I can't decide if it's anti-communist or not, or if it's just there, because the guy who wrote it is a Chinese national, so I'm not sure. Not sure about this, but we'll see. But apparently it's very convoluted. Somebody tried to explain it, and I was just like, I got about 50% of what you said. Speaking of explaining stuff, you should check out my YouTube comments recently. Had some interesting interactions of late, if you haven't seen them. All right, switching over to Bounding in the Comics. While Japan begins to reject ESG investments, the Pokemon Company International posts job listing for Director of DEI and Social Responsibilities. Well, adios, Pokemon. Alex Ogle, genius. I'll piss my money funding your woke rewrite. Fantastic. And I will embezzle most of it. JEC, they pulled down the cartoonish KFAB channel, like 1,800 videos gone. Well, that's not a good sign. But again, there have been guys who have been accused of stuff who got their careers ruined for no reason, in my view. It seems to me that Chris Noth is one of those people. He's the actor who was on Law and Order for a long time, and he played Carrie Fisher's boyfriend, Mr. Big, on Sex and the City. And he got written out of the sequel series. They killed off his character. And he's never been convicted of anything. I don't even think he's been taken to court, but he was accused by ex-girlfriends of, I don't know, some kind of assault, and they ruined him. And look, Justin Roiland seems like a weird guy, but he's been convicted of nothing, and I think it was wrong to oust him from all his projects, Rick and Morty and all the video games and stuff. I think it was wrong to oust him. I think they could have put it on hold until an investigation pending, and then maybe they could have come to. I mean, I think I don't know if he broke the law, but seems like he's in some gray areas. I saw a few of the screenshots. I don't know how real any of them are, though. So, but I think there's got to be a bar, and the bar for this media stuff probably needs to be, well, if you've been convicted of something, like, Jonathan Majors, Kang, has been convicted. So he's done. And, the fact that they can cancel all his projects, well, he was convicted. So that to me should be the bar at least. Although, I gotta say, in the case of Jonathan Majors, some of those videos kind of make his conviction a little sus, but, I haven't seen 100% of the evidence, so maybe there's something else there. He also seems like an odd guy, but not that he should lose his career because of that, but some of the stuff he said indicates to me his ego is like, woof. So we'll see. We'll see what happens to him. But it sounds like, on the one hand, they've completely canceled his projects. On the other hand, he got invited to some award ceremony. It was weird. In response to sequels' lack of profits, Blizzard Company scraps Overwatch 2 PvE plans. Good. Go F yourself, Blizzard. I had to quit your stupid card game that I enjoyed because you wouldn't let people talk about China or whatever. You wouldn't let people say free Hong Kong. Go F yourselves. Baldur Gates 3 director slams video game industry for putting profits above all else. Greed has been effing this whole thing up for so long. Well, I can't disagree with that unless the rest of that is because you're a commie and you think, ideology should take the forefront. But look, you got to make money and companies have to make money. But the problem, I think, with the market is it's so distorted. ESG has really distorted the market, especially when it comes to media, because they're doing things they would never have done 20 years ago because of ESG. They never would have done this stuff, not at the scale they're doing. They're doing stuff. They're ruining whole companies just to chase ESG money, and that should not be a thing. It should be illegal, quite frankly. EA's Marvel's Black Panther narrative designer responds after video resurfaces of her bragging that previous title, Validate, had no, quote, no white people on development team. I had fears of certain treatment towards my marginalized workers. Yeah, she sounds like an out-and-out racist. I saw that video. I think she should be fired because discrimination is illegal. And this company, I think EA is looking at some lawsuits, or at least an investigation at this point. It's only going to take one complaint. I'm not a lawyer, but I think it's only going to take one complaint from a former worker to go, hey, I didn't get a gig. I think I was discriminated against. And the whole can of worms could open up. So I think EA would be smart to immediately fire her and issue a statement that we are a company that's blah, 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 blah. The whole thing. And, but we'll see. Man, I can't even read this headline. Kotaku owners G/O Media reportedly backed down from fully shifting site from news to guides after editor-in-chief resigns. Staff pushback. I mean, how do you have a staff at Kotaku? It's a freaking website. Even when websites were cool, I can't imagine having a whole staff. How are you even making money? I mean, there's no money in ads anymore on websites. I mean, I had tried to get ads for the Webcomic Factory. Yeah. If anybody wants to buy an ad on the Webcomic Factory, by the way, very reasonable prices. But and you get them on super fat too. But wow, I don't know how you have a whole staff, even with tons of hits. UFC and WWE star Ronda Rousey refers to ousted WWE chairman Vince McMahon as Emperor Palpatine in new memoir. Well, nobody likes their boss, so I don't know. Seems like they're coming down on Vince McMahon a little harder than normal recently. I'm not so sure what his deal is, but I don't know. I'm not a wrestling guy. Alex Ogle, the only informative thing coming out of this Sweet Baby Inc. debacle is the media and journalists showing themselves up as lazy liars so obviously that even normies can't deny how broken the news is. Yep. And I love that some of the fans have made like programs to detect or to scan whether or not Sweet Baby Inc. had been involved in a game. But I guess it was, I want to say it was Razor Fist, but it might have been somebody else posted on Twitter like a list of like a dozen other companies that do the same exact thing as Sweet Baby Inc. Apparently it's like a little cottage industry of doing DEI behind the scenes for video games. So if you're a woman, and especially a woman of color, and you want to spout a bunch of communist nonsense, apparently video game companies will pay you top dollar to ruin their games. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review. A dull, uninspiring mess of a film. Wow, that's also not good. Who is this again? Oh, this is Bounding into Comics. That's 2 for 2. Not good. Meanwhile, the Arthur the King review. A heartwarming adventure in the jungle. Hollywood director argues X-Men 97 chose to adapt the trial of Magneto in order to take a swing at MAGA crowd. Now, I hear a lot of people saying that the X-Men 97 show isn't that bad. In fact, that the first 2 episodes were pretty good. Maybe. I would say that it's likely that's the bait and the switches are coming. But I wouldn't give you 10 cents for Disney Plus, so I ain't going to see the damn thing. If you put it on something free, maybe I'd watch it just to review it, but this was also a big story this week. Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling threatens legal action against transgender activists who attempted to dox one of her daughters. F you F around with my kids. Safety and privacy, you'll find out. Alex, Call Me Chato has an interesting video on how Sweet Baby Inc. might have links to the Canadian government. Oh, I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. I wouldn't be surprised if a bunch of these groups were being secretly funded by the U.S., Canada, and other woke tards, the DNC in particular, the deep state maybe, certainly China, through proxies, George Soros. I mean, all these guys. They want this stuff. They want this stuff to purposely, I think, weaken the country and make us pliable sheep even more so, that they could just run over and, you know, you will live in the pod. You will eat the bugs. No, thank you. No, thank you. I'll be in the pines. Thank you very much. You know, I wrote a short story in Jersey Devil where it was supposed to be the Jersey Devil. He's got, you know, the comic book character had like a big devil mask and a cape and a staff that said truth on it. And at the end of it, you know, it's this kid talking to the Jersey Devil, and he makes reference to all the crazy things he did. And then at the end of it, the Jersey Devil says something like, well, I got to go, kid. And he walks into the woods. And the kid, instead of saying goodbye, Jersey Devil, he says, well, see ya, Mr. DiGerolamo. I really enjoyed your comics. And so it's like supposed to be me. I've gone crazy and become the Jersey Devil in the woods. So sometimes that life looks pretty good. Living in the woods and just being crazy. What a way to go. So maybe if World War III happens, maybe that's where you'll find me. Living in the pines with my staff of truth. clocking bad guys in the head, or just fishing. We'll see. Over at Deadline, otherwise known as Variety 2.0. Probably all the same headlines. Let's see. Gas prices topping $5 once again will rise higher in coming weeks. Thanks, Joe Biden. Just what I want. Everything to be expensive. You friggin' old codger. Thankfully, I live in South Jersey where gas is the cheapest. One of the cheapest places in the country, and we don't even have to pump it. We legally can't pump our own gas in New Jersey. I think we're the last state. Today, the gas was about $3. It's just creeping over $3 now. There was a place that did $2.99. I think it finally went over to, I think it creeped up to $3.09. That's about as cheap as you'll get it here. I got an app for it, too. Let's see. Let's see what the cheap gas is on my Gas Buddy app. Handy app, by the way, if you ever need to find cheap gas. Yeah, $3.19 is the cheapest, it looks like right now. Yeah, $3.17. One place is 2 cents cheaper. It's a mile away. That's not too bad. But that's in LA. So, $5 a gallon. Holy F. I do a lot of driving. Talking about the Jersey Devil all up and down South Jersey. Sometimes I got to drive an hour. That is not good for me. I'm spending a lot of money on gas. Let's see. Blue's Clues star Stephen Burns shares video checking in amidst quiet on the set revelation that makes Nickelodeon's fans emotional. Jeez. Well, I hope something good comes out of this. I don't know. The whole Nickelodeon thing is bad. Let's see. Ghostbusters star Ernie Hudson speaks out on 2016 all-female reboot. Should I read this? I don't want him to say... Okay, he's not saying something nice about it. Okay, as long as he's not defending it. He's saying, oh, well, everybody was talented, but, you know, just wasn't the right film or whatever. Yeah, that's the thing to say. Acknowledge reality, but, you know. Late Night with the Devil was IFC's top opening film. Oh, good for them. So I guess it's doing well for them. Probably didn't spend a ton of money on Late Night with the Devil. All right. All right. I think we're moving on to Bleeding Fool. Disney tying the Acolyte into the Phantom Menace anniversary screenings. Good luck with that. Don't think that's going to help you. Hey, everybody. Want to see the Acolyte? We're showing it with a terrible film. Remember when we ruined Star Wars the first time? Well, now you can see it ruined all over again. Come see the Phantom Menace and Disney's The Acolyte. It'll make you throw up. You could eat a bunch of popcorn and then throw up in the empty bucket afterwards. Most of you will complain about it because all you do is complain, leftoids. Marvel says Ryan Coogler's animated Eyes of Wakanda to be an MCU canon. Okay, who cares? Alex Ogle, this Rowling story is deeply depressing. It just shows how confused people are fundamentally mentally disturbed and need to be watched like a hawk to prevent them from hurting themselves and others. Yeah, I mean, we used to institutionalize these people. Now, the institutions weren't always great, but some of these people need to be in a home. They really do. They need to be put in an insane asylum and have, you know, regular trips to the psychiatrist. Possibly some of them need drugs. It depends on the case. I'm not big on drugging people up, but some people in extreme cases do better. But a lot of people, I think they go crazy because they're already a bit off to begin with, and then they have a terrible circumstances, whatever it is. Maybe they're molested, but maybe it's not even something as bad as that. Maybe they just have a terrible life, a bunch of bad stuff happened to them, and they can't cope. And over again, this happens to them, and they eventually do something bad. They get arrested, and then that makes them even worse. It's a spiraling down. And I think if some of these people had access to some amount of therapy at an affordable rate, or if people were stopped from doing crazy things, like they've got people now in all the major cities, they're clearly mentally ill to me. They're running around screaming nonsense. They need to be, okay, screaming nonsense guy, come with us. We're going to take you somewhere. We'll get you a hot meal. Even just giving these people a hot meal and a place to sleep for a few days, in a hot shower, is probably going to help them. Probably going to help them like, I'm really messed up. Thank you so much. Not all of them, but some of them might be at that point. I can't imagine what it's living like on the street. I mean, it just must be something that breaks you after a while. Even a normal person, it just must break you. You're starving, you haven't eaten in days. People are, they're not giving, you're begging for money, and maybe somebody robs you. It's awful. So I have compassion for these people, but we need something other than, well, just cut them loose. Well, just let them squat in the house. Well, just let them do whatever the hell they want. That's not. And when it comes to a lot of people who are mentally ill, some of them have seen how trans people and marginalized groups are treated by the government. And they see that and they go, well, if I act like that, if I pretend to be that, I'll have power and influence. And they instantly do. Because who is going to question a person who proclaims loudly, I am trans, how dare you? How dare you question me? How dare you? They're like nobility. They're treated that way. No one stops them. Not in the government. So, unless they do something so off the mark, they finally have to go, oh, wait a minute. So, you can see why some of these mentally ill people then gravitate to where the power is, so no one can tell them what to do. And that's not healthy for them or anybody else. So they need to be examined, helped, and removed from the street. Some of them need to be locked up forever. They just can't function on the street alone. Or they need to be locked up for maybe a couple of years to get help, get functional enough, go to a halfway house where they have sort of half and half. You need to do it. But we're cutting all those people loose because of money, partly, but because it's a new plan for the Great Reset. You'll be dealing with all the maniacs, and the government will arrest you. Alex, interesting. I have a long delay between sending comments and them showing up with you. That was the third time submitting that comment. I reasoned the word trans was the reason for the rejection. Probably. YouTube is very censorious on my chat here, I think. Alex Ogle, I tried substituting the 4 for the A, and that didn't work, so I had to substitute confused. Yeah, sometimes they do that, especially with stuff about trans people. It's woke-tarded. It's YouTube doing exactly what they shouldn't do. They're trying to protect trans people from everything, and trans people are like just like anybody else. They, actual trans people I'm talking about. They make jokes, but for the people who are a little off and think they might be trans or try it or whatever, especially young people who are just very confused, they're sucked into it because of this illusion of power and influence, and people are constantly saying, oh, you're so wonderful, you're so brave, you're so stunning. People don't say that when you're just a normal kid. People don't say that to teenagers. But suddenly you say, well, I might be trans, and now everybody thinks you're a hero. It's very tempting for somebody who, and I was a kid like that, not that I was trans, but I was a kid that people ignored. And, it would have been a whole different world for me if people started calling me stunning and brave. Who knows what I would have done? Maybe I would have said, you know what? Everybody likes me now. Why shouldn't I say I'm trans? Even though I'm not. Oh, I only got to wear a dress? I mean, it's very tempting to a young kid. So, you have to. These people need help. They need attention. A lot of these people are just, they never got attention growing up. Their parents were checked out, or maybe they were drunks or addicts or whatever. They just need help. And if you're going to be compassionate, the first thing is not to completely insulate them from all criticism everywhere. That's not compassion. That is making it worse. Because now, it's like, it doesn't, if you want to live in a totally germ-free environment, and you make your house germ-free, and then you seal off all the exits so they're airtight and pump in your own oxygen, that is good for you on one hand, but on the other hand, it won't expose you to the normal everyday viruses that you will be exposed to, and it'll probably weaken your immune system. I'm not a doctor, by the way. It's the same sort of thing, only it's mental. By completely blocking people's criticism of you on the internet, it puts you in a bubble and then makes you even more sensitive to the criticism that does get through. So, JEC, you need to use tricky words like Dutch Dam or bundle of sticks. Alex Ogle, I wonder if I can mention that a trans isomer of a molecule often has harmful or undesirable effects in plastic, like the yellowing of an old computer housing. Interesting. Ardent, I'm not confused, but I do look pretty good in a peasant shirt. I'll get that one later. Anyhow, Elvis Act. Tennessee becomes first state to protect musicians from AI. I guess this could work. I don't know. More on Kotaku, editor resigning. Ryan Felipe's discusses how prayer and his Christian faith are incredibly important. Yeah, this is going to get bigger and bigger. I'm telling you, the next thing, Alex Ogle, trans isomer is acceptable. I'll use that. Ardent, LOL, skirt. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I ruined your joke, Ardent. Sorry about that. Yeah, this is going to be the next big Ardent. Remember when blowing a tranny meant car trouble? Yes, that's what it means. Ardent, you're gonna get me flagged. Ryan Felipe and celebrities coming out and saying, "Oh, I'm a Christian now, and my faith is very important." Blah blah blah. I'm telling you, that's going to be the next trend. At some point, that's going to be the hot trend. Oh, you're going to Chris Pratt's church? No, you went to Chris Pratt's church? Oh, yeah, I'm a member, dude. Oh, he's there every Sunday. I'm there with my wife and my kids. You watch. That's going to be the hot ticket in Hollywood someday. Let's see. Marvel being sued for copyright infringement over stolen werewolf art. Couldn't happen to a nicer company, I say. House of the Dragon Season 2 trailer dropped. For those of you who watch that, Alex Ogle. When any performer, celebrity, politician, or anyone in position of influence invokes Christianity, I know they are lying and to be avoided. Well, maybe. I mean, it depends. I think some of them were in hiding for many years, and now some of them have come forward to be like, oh, I'm going to tell people about my Christian faith because that's, I'm not getting work in woke Hollywood anyway. They know I'm Christian or whatever. So I might as well throw in with, the super Christians or whatever and sort of play that up. So I think the first, phase one of this will probably be guys who are at least Christians. But it's like phase 2, 3, 4 down the road. Oh, those guys, they're not going to be. They're just going to be guys who join a church and give it a lot of lip service. They'll be doing Christ is King all day long on the internet. So we'll see. All right, moving on to the wrap, which of course didn't load. More on MSNBC and Ronna McDaniel. American fiction author Percival Everett explains why N-word is inoffensive in the right context. Okay, I won't be reading that article. Ardent Party, Sorbo. You think Sorbo's fake or real? I think he's real, right? Alex Ogle, faith is like Christ's example with charity. If you mean it, then do it quietly. I agree. I agree that should be the rule. And that seems to be Pratt. I mean, he's had a couple of Instagram posts where he's doing some, like, missionary type work. Him and his buddy, like, put up a giant cross somewhere, I think. Yeah, I agree. You know who was like that? Prince. Super quiet about his charity work. But he was a Jehovah's Witness, right? I think that's part of the rules. You don't talk about that till after you're dead, and then everybody went, oh my God, all the charity he did. Former James Bond George Lazenby endorses Aaron Taylor Johnson for the role. Wow. That's quite an endorsement, I'll say. Although Lazenby, you know, he's the worst Bond. I mean, although, I don't know, Daniel Craig gave him a run for his money. I mean, certainly Daniel Craig did more. But he did do Casino Royale, which is really good. George Lazenby's movie, they could remake it. I think they could remake it. But I think the whole franchise is probably dead. The James Bond franchise sounds like it's about where Star Wars is. Ardent, Chris Pratt is far better male role model than Andrew Tate. I would agree. Timothy Dalton was arguably worse, Ardent says. You know what? Timothy Dalton, the problem with Timothy Dalton was he got really bad scripts. You know, just like Pierce Bronson, I think, got bad scripts. His were particularly bad because he was in that era. They'd run out of Bond movies, and they were really trying to modernize. They'd run out of the novels, and they were really trying to modernize Bond. Like, they put him up against the cartel, and it's just the wrong villain, I think, for Bond. Even though I think that was Robert Davi was the bad guy in that. Alex Ogle, Timothy Dalton was my favorite Bond. But I also think Colin Baker was the best Doctor Who. Really? Colin Baker, huh? He wasn't bad. I didn't mind him. Tom Baker's always my favorite. But he was the first I saw, I think. No, wait. I think I saw John Pertwee first. I love Tom Baker. Ardent, anything ultra-masculine or boy-focused is verboten. Haram. Yes, that's why I think James Bond can't be good right now. And it sounds as if the people who run the Bond franchise are completely taken in by DEI. I mean, they killed off Bond. I mean, unless they do a hard reboot and put Bond back in the Cold War and say, F it, he's going to smoke and drink and bang chicks, I don't have any hope this will be any good. Ardent, was Colin Baker the blonde with the scarf? He had curly hair. I think it was blonde. And he was a little bit of a curmudgeon. He was a little bit of curmudgeon. So, yeah. He had a bit of an edge to him. He was good. I did like him. Let's see. I think that's about it here. I don't really update the wrap very well. I added Breitbart's entertainment section because it's usually pretty good. Alex Ogle, Colin Baker was the blonde with the loudly colored coat and the red shoes with green spats. He had the American sidekick. JC, I didn't like any of the 1980s doctors. Who was your favorite, JC? Who was your favorite? 11 rappers backing Donald Trump in 2024. Nice. Nice. Ardent. Gotcha, Alex. Lara Trump to release single, Anything is Possible. Okay, it's a bit odd. It's releasing a single, but whatever. Just make sure your father-in-law wins this thing. Hollywood studios reap $25 billion from states' tax credits. Taxpayers see massive losses. Second Doctor was my favorite. I like the first 4 Doctors. Really, you like the Mo Howard haircut? He was cool. I did like him. I never saw a lot of his episodes, but I did like him. Ardent, I'm new school. My favorite Doctor was Tennant. Yeah, I can't like Tennant anymore. I think he kind of betrayed The Office. I did like him until he did that recent one. Ugh. John Nolte, movies for normal people like Ghostbusters are box office hits. I don't think it's a hit yet. I think it's going to struggle, but it'll probably be an okay. It'll probably do okay. Alex Ogle at JC. Wow, old school. I like the first invocation of the Cybermen, 10th Planet. I love the Cybermen because I love the whole bit where Gold kills them. And there's a great scene in... oh, gosh. One of the Doctor Who's where one of the sidekicks is killed, but then later the Doctor has his pin that the kid wore, and he's got one Cyberman to kill, and he's in the struggle in the TARDIS, and he, during the struggle, he like scrapes the badge, the golden badge, into the Cyberman's like I don't know, they had some sort of intake, and it kills them, and it was really, really good scene. Ardent, the best Star Trek captain was Sisko. Fight me. No, it was Kirk, but Sisko's a close second. I would say Sisko's definitely the second. JC at Alex Ogle. Yeah, they used to play the old episodes on the Sci-Fi Channel where I live before school. The first episode I saw was actually The Unearthly Child. Mortified, Blake Lively apologizes for mocking Princess Kate. Who cares? You're not a Princess Blake. Dana Carvey apologizes for SNL skit where he played an Indian making fun of Sharon Stone taking off her clothes. Bleach Demon is here at Ardent Party, and so I shall. Ardent Party, it's okay to be wrong, Tony. I'm never wrong, Ardent. It's one of my powers. Ardent, bring it on, Bleach. Dana Carvey apologized for a skit he was in. And this, to me, invalidates Dana Carvey. Like, you don't apologize. I don't think he had anything to apologize for. The perfectly funny premise. Wasn't making fun of Indian people just because he was doing an Indian accent. And just because Sharon Stone is hot. It was obvious that it was a bunch of 2 security dudes in the airport trying to search a hot chick. And that's the joke. Bleach Demon. Kirk for the win there, Ardent. Obviously. Look, you can't beat Kirk. He always wins. That's what's so awesome about Kirk. He beat the Kobayashi Maru. He's the only cadet to beat the Kobayashi Maru. Sisko is great. Don't get me wrong. But he didn't beat the Kobayashi Maru. Sorry. Kirk beat the Kobayashi Maru. And it's only Shatner Kirk. I'll emphasize that. Only Shatner Kirk. Chris Pine Kirk's okay. In one movie, he's okay. The rest of it, you throw it in the trash. But he's not even a rank. You wouldn't even rank a Chris Pine Kirk. He's unrankable. You don't even put him in the mix. Ardent. Oh, boy. He's starting an argument, Ardent. Kirk was terrible. Richard Pryor knew what was up. If the B is green, there's something wrong with the P. No. Kirk was the man. He would explore strange new worlds. Down there. Roadhouse 2024 review. Woke free? Fun that's too long, too digital. They should have remade this movie. They should have just called this movie something else. Bottom line. Ardent, Chris Pine Kirk is still better than Janeway. Well, everything's better than Janeway. Who's the worst captain? Wow, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Is it Janeway? I think it might be. Yeah, Janeway's the worst. Janeway's the worst. And I would even include Scott Bakula's captain, and I hated that show. I didn't even watch that show. I watched one episode, and I was like, I'm out of here. But not because of Scott Bakula. Mostly because of the theme song and the premise of the whole thing. But yeah, Janeway was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Part of it's not the actress's fault. Terrible scripts. Betrayed the... It had a solid premise. They could have made that work. But they sort of betrayed the... It turned right back into Next Generation is the problem. Yeah, this Roadhouse movie, though, should have called it something else. Should have just said, it's a different movie. Ardent, worst? I mean, Janeway was a knob, but Discovery's first captain was a total lump. I don't even rank her. I don't even consider her part of Star Trek, but, I mean, if we're going to talk, yeah. I mean, you got Discovery, and then whoever's on Strange New Worlds. I haven't even seen those shows. They don't even rank as Star Trek to me. Sure, I'm sure she's the worst. Bleach Demon, Janeway is the Lorne Greene in Battlestar Galactica. He had a great death scene, though. Lorne Greene had an awesome death scene in Battlestar Galactica. Ardent, two best things about Voyager was 7. 7. They kind of ruined her with Picard, though. That was stupid. Ardent, LOL Bleach. Howie Mandel finally gets on board the train, bashes woke censorship of comedians. All humor comes out of darkness. Took you long enough, Howie, but welcome, I guess. I guess you got your money all secure. Okay, I got enough money now. Yeah, I hate the woke. I hate the woke. Oh, I don't work anymore? Well, I got enough money. Marvel star Gwyneth Paltrow bashes Hollywood's big push into superhero movies. Well, another person that got all her money. Her, cosmetic line's blowing up. I guess that's what you call it. I don't know. She sells candles that smell like her vagina and then other cosmetics or something. Ardent, haven't developed enough depression to watch Picard. I only watched Discovery a few weeks ago. I'm so sorry. I hope you're okay. JC, Howie is the most milquetoast family-friendly comedian ever. LOL. Back in the day, he was a little edgier, but yeah. Alex Ogle, the only good thing about DS9 was Dax, although a friend of mine had the hots for Kira Nyers. I don't know. No, I like the storylines. They got really good. Like here, a new Star Trek, and I'm not talking about the new Star Trek. I'm talking about Next Generation, Voyager, and DS9, because those are the only 3 that, new Star Trek even matter. But, Next Generation started the worst. Then Voyager started pretty good, had a lot of potential, but DS9 started very solid and then went up. So, Alex Ogle, Picard's last season was a good return to form. I've heard, but I'm not going to slog through it to get to that. Ardent, I had it for Kira. Esri Dax was a little cutie, plus she was from Newfoundland. Oh, look at her. Ardent, Enterprise potential was wasted. Yeah, really was. That could have been a great crossover, into the old, show. But man, even the design on that show was all wrong. But the worst, man, that theme song for the Enterprise show was the worst. JC, he was kind of edgy in the 80s. 1980s edgy now seems wholesome by current year standards. Yeah. Absolutely. And he changed too. Back in the day, he was a lot his delivery was kind of Robin Williams-esque. He was always scatterbrained and blah, blah, blah. And then later he sort of mellowed out. And Liam Neeson, Glenn Close performed dramatic readings of Trump indictments for MSNBC. Ha 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 ha. Ugh. Well, kind of not surprised about Glenn Close because, I mean, this is the most work I've ever heard her getting recently. But Liam Neeson, do you really need to like lower yourself to do this bit, Liam? I mean, it's weird. And he's going to be doing a reboot of The Naked Gun. Yeah, I don't think that's going to be good. Alex Ogle, a friend of mine, a friend gave me the box set of Quantum Leap. I need to work through more of that. My memories of its original are hazy, the original run. Yeah, it's all right. I don't like the ending of the original Quantum Leap, but I like the show. I used to watch it. The new one, I hear, is just god awful. JC, yes, he was kind of the poor man's Robin Williams. Yep, that's a good way to put it. Ardent, old Quantum Leap was good. Yeah, the individual episodes are good. And then, man, that ending was just like, really? I really wanted to see them go back to the future, so to speak, and meet all the people they kept referring to, but and then the new version, like, you start with that, you guys are idiots. But yeah, Liam Neeson, I don't know, he's gonna go for comedy soon. I don't think that's gonna go well. Ardent, I'd recommend Stargate movie and then series, maybe not some of the newest movies. Oh, and Farscape. There you go, more sci-fi to watch. JC, he's very good at deadpan comedy. He might be good in a Naked Gun style comedy. No, he's doing the Naked Gun. He's going to be the new Leslie Nielsen. They're redoing it. I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it. It's not the same as when Leslie Nielsen did it, and like the bits aren't going to land. In order for the Naked Gun to work, and the Police Squad or whatever, it worked because there was all this stuff from the 70s and 80s that they were parodying. That was a real thing. Like the 70s, the cop shows were super serious. Like you've got some of those shows now, but you could do SVU parodies all day long. If they upgraded to that and maybe make fun of all this woke BS and get some really funny comedians, maybe. But I don't have a good feeling about it. JC, yes, I think that could actually work. I don't know, man. I don't know. I want it to work, but I don't have any confidence in Hollywood. You need good guys on comedy. You need the Zucker brothers. I bet they don't get them. I bet they're far, far away. JC, you do it a bit different. Insane things happen and he plays it straight like he's in the Taken sequel with insane things happening around him. Yeah, it could work. We'll see. Alex Ogle, Ricky Gervais manages to get good performances out of people. Liam Neeson was very funny in his appearance on Fife's Too Short. I liked him in A Million Ways to Die in the West, but he was the bad guy. But he played it straight. Ardent, CSI, NCIS, SVU would be good parody material. Yep. Alex Ogle, Life's Too Short. Oh, Life's Too Short. Sorry. I read the Fife. Fife's Too Short. This Fife's Too Short. It's another episode of Fife's Too Short. The colonial flute player who just can't get it right. Bill Maher, Dems should stop neglecting issues that impact people for identity politics. Absolutely, but they won't. JC, he had a very funny walk on in that one movie, Ted. Yeah, I think that's what yeah, and I did see him in, what's the other Ricky Gervais show? I think he makes a cameo. The one about the extras, I think it was called Extras. I think he does a bit in that too. I don't know. Naked Gun though, man, it's a whole movie. We'll see. Let's see. Barry Manilow to co-host Fashion Mogul. Michael Smith's mega Jill Biden fundraiser. Look, Barry is old, so I'll give him a pass, but I'm not a fan of his music anyway, so. JC, he was at the grocery store asking about if tricks are for kids. That's pretty funny. Kevin Bacon accepts prom invite from students at school where Footloose was filmed. Interesting. JC, bring back O.J. Simpson. I'm sure he'd do it. You know, he still has to fund his search for the real killers. Alex Golgol, Fife's Too Short, in which Warwick Davis plays a British military piper during the American Revolution, trying to get him out of being sent into combat. Fife! And his name is Fife, too. Sergeant Fife, yes, sir? You're too short. They said it. They said it in the show. Ardent, bring back John Wayne Bobbitt. Jesus. Yeah, it could be a buddy show. A buddy movie. John Wayne Bobbitt. O.J. Simpson. What would you call it? The Knife Brothers. Chop and Hack. They could be wacky detectives. Chop, we're going to have to go in there and break this case. Don't worry, I'll get him to confess. And then, like, OJ goes in there and he comes back and he's just covered in blood. What happened? Turns out he exploded. Did you kill him? No. All right, I did kill him, but he deserved it. JC, that's your plot right there. He needs to find the real killer to get OJ out of jail. Yeah, there you go. He just keeps killing everybody, though. Every time they get close, OJ kills them. Oh, that would be hilarious. Ardent, take my wife, please. Take my fife, please. JC, Shaft and Juice. Shaft and Juice. We are rebuilding comedy right here on the live stream, aren't we? Aren't we? Oh my God, it's 10:24. Jesus, I gotta start wrapping this up. All right, let's just check into the Cosmic Book News. No Sebastian Stan for Captain America 4 confirms Anthony Mackie. No Bucky, or what are we calling him? Winter Soldier? No Winter Soldier. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Like the one tie to the original Captain America, and you're going to cut that out of the movie? Alkalite trailer scores most of YouTube's dislike in Star Wars history. Hilarious. Ardent, more like Half-Mast and Juice. JC, OJ and John Wayne / Shaft / Juice. Henry Cavill is Wolverine. I kind of don't care. I think it's a bad move for Henry. I'd understand it if he did it, but I have a feeling Henry will finally bow down to the woke if he signs that deal. That's going to be too important. They will pressure the F out of him, and they will drive the money truck to his house. Listen, you're going to be Wolverine, but you're going to be woke Wolverine, right? And he'll be like, okay. I don't know, man. I like Henry, but everybody's got their price. And he is an A-lister, man. So I don't know. But it might not be him. I think he should be Captain Britain. I think they should bring Captain Britain in. JC, Henry is too tall and too good looking. Yeah, it may just be a rumor. Ardent, Henry, no! JC, he could be a good Cyclops. That's the other rumor, Cyclops. Another rumor was Doctor Doom. He'd be good for that. Cyclops, he's a little old for Cyclops. Unless you're doing late stage Cyclops, maybe. Ardent, he'd be a far better Cable. It's a little young for Cable. I mean, Josh Brolin is amazing as Cable. I think they should bring him back. Cavill needs to concentrate on the Warhammer 40K series. I agree. Joan, do you want to get down? Here, let me help you. You look like you're looking for an L. So there you go. Go get a drink. I think I got to wrap up soon. JEC, don't want to cover him up. It may be the sort of thing where he starts out doing the 40K Warhammer thing, and you see his face in some of the early episodes, and then the rest of the time you just see his voice, and it's just all like CGI running around. You never see his face. JC, don't want to cover him up. Gambit. That's not a bad... I think he could do Gambit. Yeah, he'd look good as Gambit. He'd look very good as Gambit. But again, I don't know if they want to go for the young, like, X-Men. Like, they're still kind of just barely... They're just right around college age. They may want to go for it there. I'll tell you what would be a shocker, and he could do it, is Professor X. It would be weird. It'd be a weird casting choice, him shaving his head and not moving around, but he could do that too. He could do a lot of them, quite frankly. He's got the voice for it to do Professor X. Ardent, Cavill as Conan I could buy. Yeah, he'd have to muscle up a little more, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Doesn't seem the right role for him. He could do it. But in the X-Men, there's a lot of guys he could do. He could even do Beast. You know, the sophisticated Beast. I could see him. He'd definitely get the voice. I think he's a little too tall for that too. But JC, you don't want to shave his head. No, but Hollywood does that. Hollywood hires a beautiful woman and then dresses her down. He's got the best hair in the business. Great. Let's make him bald. Alex Olgol. I enjoyed seeing Dean Cain on Friday Night Tights with some weeks ago. I didn't realize he was so based. Oh, he's very based. He's been based for a long time, too. That's why you don't see him anymore. He was the most based Superman we ever had. Ardent. And we're up to 5 ads now. Oh, I'm sorry. JC, honestly, he's a bit too generic, handsome guy. Yeah, works for him. He'd be good as Iceman. Straight Iceman. Straight Iceman only. Thank you. He could do Angel. People forget about Angel because they kind of ruined the character, but actually he'd be a great Angel now that I think about it, because, you know, original Angel, give him the blonde hair. Handsome rich guy who grew wings and then became a mutant. Ardent, at Alex, was he on Friday Night Tights? That's surprising. Might have to check that out. Yeah, missed that one. So many podcasts, can't keep up with them all. And let's end on a happy note. Happy Gilmore 2's happening, says Christopher McDonald. I think it'll be fun. That was probably one of the best Adam Sandler movies he made, I think. Yeah, I could see a Happy Gilmore too. I'm not sure what the plot will be. And Bob Barker's dead, so maybe he could beat up Drew Carey in this one. That would be pretty funny. So, yeah, I'd like to see it. Ardent, I'm more just glad to see YouTube putting ads on your stuff, to be honest. I'd hope that means they're favoring you a bit. I think they're just running out of money. Honestly, I think they're doing it to make themselves money, and they need to. Ardent, Drew Carey and Happy Gilmore, LOL, great minds. Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see that. That would be funny. And I have a kind of a close call with Adam Sandler, because I worked with a guy. I wrote a script for him. It's a really good script, too. It's a comedy script. I hope one day he produces the damn thing. He was so close to producing it. And JC, Tony is a good boy on YouTube. Yeah, on YouTube I am. Come see me on the other channels. So I wrote this really funny screenplay. It's so good. I hope we get to do it one day. But the idea was, my producer, unfortunately, he had a director all lined up, but unfortunately the director had cancer and it killed him. And it's just so tragic. We were so close. He was going to try to direct it before he died, but it's a shame. JC, trying to milk every penny and try to make the site means profit finally. I guess. I think they're still losing money. The word is there's too many videos and not enough commercials. So I guess this is a chance to try to make it profitable. But anyhow, so this producer who hired me, he worked on a few Adam Sandler films. I forget as what, but something above a PA. So he had a connection to him. And the idea was the screenplay takes place in Boston, and Adam Sandler, I think, is from Boston, but part of his stand-up, he had a few characters that were Boston area characters back in his stand-up days. So we were going to essentially work Adam Sandler into the movie in various parts and hope that he would either produce the movie or be in it, or both. And unfortunately, it didn't work out. But through him, I heard the most amazing Rob Schneider story, because him and Adam are really tight, apparently. So it is a bit gross. So I'll warn you in advance, and I'll end on this, because I like to end on a high note. Rob Schneider was called to be in some Adam Sandler movie to make a cameo. And it was Adam's birthday. And so he gets to the set, and for whatever reason, they don't even use him. But he gets paid and everything, but it was a big waste of time. And Adam wasn't even there, and he wanted to leave him a present for his birthday. And he took a dump in a Ziploc bag, sealed it up, and stapled it to his trailer door, and wrote, "Happy birthday." So goes the legend. JC, trying to milk every penny. Oh, I read that one. Ardent, Rob Schneider is based as hell. So anyway, apparently Rob took a dump, according to the legend, in a Ziploc bag and left it for Adam for his birthday, because he wasn't there on his birthday, and he thought he would be there. And I guess they thought they'd be hanging out, and then he wasn't there, and he had flown all the way out to be in this movie, and then they didn't even use him. So I just found that the most hilarious thing ever. And they must be good friends if he could do that. And Adam not go, "What the F?" But it's pretty outrageous. And when I heard that story, and I like to believe it's true, I assume it is, I gained like an enormous respect for Rob Schneider's comedy, because talk about a risk. I mean, that's a risk. It's gross, but it's freaking hilarious. And yeah, so I hope one day this movie gets made and Adam will be in it, and I hope Schneider's in it too. It would be amazing. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap it here. So final thoughts. What have we learned today? Well, we have learned Ghostbusters is kind of is doing okay. Might make money. In general, the movies aren't making more money. Ardent, I'd love to see Doctor Doom as a dark hero film. Not hugely on board with that. I don't think they can pull it off, but I'd just like to see a good Fantastic Four movie. But that's another thing I don't think they can pull off. They should have done it as a TV show. Would have been a great TV show. We've learned... What else? Geez, I've already forgotten about half the headlines. Oh, we learned about Howard the Duck. We learned about the Magical Society of you-know-what. We learned that Late Night with the Devil sounds like kind of a cool movie. We learned that George Lucas went to the dark side, but William Shatner will always be part of the light and the best captain ever. We learned about Doctor Who and Harry Potter and the usual stuff we've learned. And we've learned we have to move on from Star Wars. We've learned about a bunch of cool sci-fi stuff we should all be checking out instead of Star Wars. Ardent, more Doom 2099 though. Say it. Yes, I could see Doom 20. I heard it's good. I never read it. I think I bought the first one, but wasn't a fan. I don't know. It could be good. Doing a dark movie could be good, but I don't like making Doom a hero because he's a really good villain. He's a really good villain if done right, I think. But it's tough to do him right. everybody in Hollywood wants to do dark. I say do light. We also learned that the rappers support Trump. So, money, 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 Trump all day long. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap it here. JC, Ghost Rider 2099 was the best 2099 book. I hated them all, quite frankly, but I mean, that one works. Out of all of them, that one worked the best. Talk about woke comics. Spider-Man 2099 was woke as F. That was like, wasn't he an amalgamation of a bunch of woke stuff, like the character was? I like Punisher 2099. No, I take it back. Punisher 2099 was awesome. The first one was awesome anyway, because the guy who becomes the new Punisher finds the diary of Frank Castle, and the last entry is written in his own blood as he's being killed. Oh, it's the best. It's the best launch anyway. Alex Ogle, the American Society of Magical BIPOC. Oh, we also pitched a lot of good comedy movies. Ardent, there's loads of great sci-fi from the past and present. Latveria forever. Good night. JEC, Ghost Rider 2099 had early Ashley Wood art. Ardent, the original 29 comics were anything but woke. No, Spider-Man 2099 was a little bit woke, I think, because they pitched the main character as an amalgamation of a bunch of different races, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Didn't he have some long Hispanic name? Alex Ogle, hit the like button before the stream ends, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for thinking of me. And then the one that was the worst was Ravage 2099, which I think was a complete ripoff of Grimjack. I was furious that Stan Lee would put his name on it. It was a joke, in my view. But I did like the Punisher 2099. He also had, you know, because it was the future and there's video cameras everywhere, but he had this mask, this electronic mask, that wherever he went, the cameras would only pick up the mask. You couldn't see it live, but on the video it always looked like a digital skull. That was badass. Ardent, oh yeah, he was half Irish, half Mexican. Yeah, like Gomez O'Leary or something. I forget his name. There was a place in Wildwood for many years. It was called like Juan O'Brien's Tavern, and it was a Mexican-Irish place where you would get, you know, it was like a Mexican, it was like an Irish pub with like tacos and Mexican food. It was pretty cool. Yeah, so I contend Spider-Man 2099 was already kind of woke. And definitely Ravage 2099 was. Oh yeah, that was like environmental stuff. It was just poorly done in my view. Total. I lost a lot of respect for Stan Lee when that came out. Ardent green tacos, I guess. You know, on St. Patty's Day and Cinco de Mayo, I suppose. So, holy crap, 1040. I got 2 other videos to do. And that's it for me, Tony D, and Little Joan. What's coming up? I don't have a lot going on this week. I'm going to be spending a week promoting the Pineys, getting some more events going on. I've got Geek Fest on Saturday. That's going to be interesting, right before Easter. Ardent Guinness with chorizo sounds good. Yep. JC, Stan Lee probably didn't even read it, let alone write it. Possibly. And he was getting up there. I don't know. It was very disappointing to see him do that. LeMay says, good night. Good night. Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. It was an amazing stream. Oh, man, it's going to take me forever to process this and get it up on Bitchute, Odysee, and Rumble. I'll tell you what. A file this big, I might have to split it into 2 parts. So, we'll see you in the next one. Oh, wait, I'm hitting the wrong button. Later, brother, says Ardent. Later. Later, Gators. And stream is ending.